All right, chat, welcome in, welcome in. We are live firing up in the middle of week 4 NFL season and in the middle of a third down Ravens-Chiefs. Ayo, the Ravens are going to keep this drive going. They're working down the field right now on their first drive of the game. And thankfully, we do actually have Ravens-Chiefs on in the background. Ayo, chat, of course, it's the national TV game of the day, but being in the Midwest, there's a couple of other options that were like, oh no, are we going to get shanked on this one, chat? I mean, ayo. Colts Rams, we're never gonna we're Colts fans, so we're never gonna get Colts game in the mix, but they're never gonna be on national TV. But Bears Raiders was the other game on the slate for CBS, and I was like, oh, of course, we're just gonna get screwed over watching Caleb Smith, ayo, Chad, Caleb Williams and Geno Smith. I don't know, Caleb Williams play a little like, I don't know, is Caleb Smith a better version of Caleb Williams? Or Geno, I feel like, has had a little bit of the inconsistency type stuff that Caleb Williams has had throughout the course of his early career as well, too. I don't know. I mean, I guess the start for Caleb Williams' career is definitely better than the start for Geno's career. But, just if we were going there, they are kind of on the same timeline for when they've started to emerge as, at least being NFL guys. But regardless, we did Paramount Plus, CBS, they are clutch. They're like, no, the Midwest, you guys can still watch Ravens-Chiefs. It's okay. You don't have to watch Bears Raiders. So we do have the red zone on. We can keep an eye on all the other games as well too. But main game, prime time, Ravens Chiefs. Ravens still this opening drive, 5 minutes to start. Chiefs not quite able to get off the field, and I guess now they are, chat. Hey yo, Justice Hill in for the touchdown. But they were running this story about Chris Jones, who shout out to him and the family involved, because of they were talking about him being at a funeral for a family member. I guess it would have been maybe today, yesterday, but regardless, the flight brought him in, and he was entering the stadium like 30 minutes before kickoff. They showed him in a suit at they had the timestamp the video at 2:57, and kickoff time, whatever. But 2:57 was the Midwest time when they timestamped the video, and he was still outside, getting out of the vehicle, buttoning the suit back up, walking into the stadium. Got to still prepare for the game. And he started, and he almost got to Lamar as well, too, on one of the drives. I don't know if we're going to, the suit's the reason that he wasn't able to make the tackle there. But I think maybe Lamar is just probably more the Lamar Jackson escapability. But I do feel like it could be, I guess we always got to keep Chris, of course, we keeping Chris Jones in mind for making an impactful play during the game. But that kind of maybe motivation, just emotion powering him as well too. He's going to want to step up for, everybody watching, chat. Ayo, all eyes, whether or not they're with us at the moment or not. He knows he's got to perform. So, this week in general, this slate of games, I feel like it's just been a good slate of games. This did feel more like a Sunday ticket slate than a red zone slate, because a red zone, I feel like you can get it to work with the amount of games in that early window, where enough of them will kind of work themselves out and maybe not be as competitive, or the quality of this was like, oh, this one's a low scoring game, this one you can tell early what's happening, blah blah blah. Maybe there's a couple that get to be the ones you want to focus on, and then of course you can they'll kind of go back and forth between those and the coverage. But this one was like, I kind of want to watch the course of these games and see how these teams play each other, and kind of what the different game planning stuff, just how the 4-quarter thing actually works out for these teams. So, because the Eagles Bucks, of course, seemed like one early on that was going to go in a certain direction, and of course, I guess now confirm we know what the Buccaneers are for the season. Maybe I guess 4 weeks in. But it did seem for the most part pretty competitive. The only major blowout in the scoreboards so far was that Patriots-Panthers game. And shout out to the Lions as well too. Of course, they did have a pretty convincing win. I guess Texans-Titans was some of the slate, I guess, was not necessarily score-wise super great, but it was interesting for the most part. Even Commanders-Falcons was pretty close. Commanders were there at halftime. Falcons had a good fourth quarter, but then the Commanders were fighting back. as well too. But we did get the Dublin game today, chat. We did get Steelers-Vikings in Ireland. We were looking at this game early in the year because, of course, we were thinking, if McCarthy needs to pick up a win early on, is the travel going to benefit him? Aaron Rodgers maybe traveling the old man, chat? I don't know. For some reason, we didn't believe that maybe the old man would be able to make the flight overseas. But he wasn't, maybe, having Carson Wentz as the matchup as well, too, was not necessarily it didn't hurt his odds in this game, that's for sure. But I feel like there is, and maybe this isn't, who they're sending to these spots as well, too. But you think, we sent the LA team to, what was it, Sao Paulo or Rio? Wait, where did they play that game? We sent them to Brazil against Kansas City. Maybe the LA team's a little bit more comfortable there. And we sent the Pittsburgh team, the Pennsylvania team to Dublin against the Minnesota team. I feel like that's definitely home field advantage for the Pennsylvania team. And both those teams ended up winning as well, too. So, if the Patriots play in the Dublin game next year, lock it in, then we might be more Patriots fans at the Dublin game if there is at a Boston game. But speaking of fourth quarters as well, too, the Vikings were able to make this one close. But the offenses did start, at least, the early scripting, game planning stuff was going well for, O'Connell and the Vikings. It was going good for Arthur Smith and the Steelers, too. Both of them were perfect. I don't think they quite got to double digit in, completions in a row for either one, but they both did start off pretty efficiently. And the Vikings O-line, 6 sacks again, and Wentz has always been a little bit of the time to throw has maybe been a little bit of his fault from time to time, where he can hold on to the pass a little bit too long and not necessarily make the read. And ETN up the sideline, chat, against the Niners, breaks off another big run. Hey, we were busting a table on the patio the other day at work, and somebody was randomly, the Chiefs should trade for Travis Etienne. And I was like, hey, that'd be a good move, honestly. The way he's playing this year, he's balling out. If Travis Etienne was, good blocking for sure for the Jags. But the speed from Etienne is, I think, he's one of the underrated fast guys in the league. You don't necessarily think about him as you make a cut, turn up the field, and I guess, obviously, if you're locked in, you do. But it's not necessarily when you think, fastest running backs in the league. I don't feel like he necessarily gets brought up in that type of way. And maybe right now there is, I don't know if there's a lack of speed running backs in general. I feel like, just the top running backs, there's, good all-round abilities from all the running backs. Like Bijan, of course, is not slow. But maybe his 40 time was a little. So do we have to go look at the Bijan 40 time? His quickness is obviously there. I don't know. Maybe the straight line speed wasn't measured the same type of way as we thought. But he is. Maybe he is just at this point. Does he get the fastest running back in the league title? Maybe Henry is still in the mix, chat. Do we have to go next gen stats real quick and see what we have gotten registered for this point in the season? And I guess if we're just tracking speed, a bunch of the receivers as well too, maybe a pick 6 return. Brian Thomas. Of course, chat. The Jags. That's, I guess, part of their maybe strategy is just looking at the 40 times, taking the guys. But let's see here. Fastest ball carrier. Chat. Jonathan Taylor, 22.3. Jahmyr Gibbs, 22.3 as well, too. 22.34. Taylor, 22.38. So just barely. And then you do have the Bears corner with the 4th placement there. I guess Brian Thomas at 3rd, so shout out. But DK Metcalf, I was going to say, for this week, because he did have the long touchdown against the Vikings in the first half, where when they hit that play, it was honestly maybe the happiest that we've seen Tomlin in 6 years at this point. That might be the best play that they've had maybe since Antonio Brown's been there. I don't even know, chat. I'm trying to think of, they still have had good receivers and stuff since then. Juju was there right after Antonio Brown. Chat. But I don't know. We're just going back to James Washington stock. But Deontay Johnson had some good years. Like, they still have been able to be successful at the receiver spot. Like, they, carry on that lineage a little bit. But just the sort of big plays at the right time, the momentum is shifting in the right way. And maybe it being at a good point in the season as well, too. If you hit that play later in the season and it's like you kind of know what the ceiling of the team is, you're tapped out, you're trying to just barely maybe stumble into the wild card run, or not even the wild card run, but just trying to win enough games to keep Tomlin's 500 streak alive. Like, there is, and you're just like, okay, what does this play mean at the end of the day? It's a good play, but we're just kind of all bumped out here. There is still a little bit of happy energy with the Steelers at this point of the season. It did feel like, okay, maybe there is something here, and Rodgers as well too. Like, I don't know if we're saying like, oh, the Steelers were buying stock, and this team is, at this point with the way we're watching them play, I don't know if we quite think that they're a fight. I mean, I guess they are a feisty playoff team. I don't know if I think they would really win a game, but they would, I think, be close against some of these. They could, I guess, be close against some of these top-tier quarterbacks and top-tier names for the AFC so far. But just the vibes of that play, and it felt like, okay, this game's going well. We're making big plays. The scripting stuff is working out. Rodgers was, at that point, I think, perfect in the game as well, too. So just the ability for him to get the quick passes going was definitely making it successful. And that was a little bit of a quick pass as well, too. I think it wasn't necessarily like a drag route underneath, but it was kind of again, he got the ball quicker. And I guess Rodgers at this point, how he's going to have to get his completions. But yeah, I was like, oh man, it's good to see Tomlin smile again. Hey, yo, Chad, it feels like it's one of your, like, has it been a minute since we've seen just like a happy emotion on his face? When I saw that play, it flashed. It was just like all of the last couple of years of quarterbacks, just barely getting the 500s, and just Tomlin just dead stares at the sideline, just totally the football life is just gone from his eyes, and you're like, oh man, like, is he even we were literally questioning, is Tomlin even a good coach anymore? I guess he's still a good coach. I guess Tomlin, there was a time when we were talking about Tomlin as the best coach in the league. But these quarterbacks, chat, they've depleted him. He's soulless at this point. That is like Rodgers hit DK Metcalf for a big touchdown. It's like, well, he's had a spark again. It was good to see. And it was fortunate that they were able to win the game as well, too. Oh, Pearsall down the field, chat. Hey, yo, now it turns out San Francisco versus Jacksonville is maybe going to be the highlight play game. Anyways, I guess the ETN play was a touchdown, 7-3 early on. And since the Chiefs don't score points, it's going to have to be up to the Ravens to just do all the highlight stuff for the Chiefs-Ravens game. And it does seem like, Colts-Rams early on, both of these teams, of course, have been playing a little bit over expectation. The Rams, I think, 2-1, you wouldn't read that and think, okay, oh man, we're, obviously way over expectation. But the way you've played, the way Stafford's looked, you do feel a little bit better about the start of the season. And the Colts, obviously, 0-3. That's definitely better over records, definitely better over our record expectation for the year, to start the year. So there is maybe a little bit of these teams are due for just a little bit of a step back week as well, too. But Daniel Jones is playing better. He got intercepted on like his second or third pass of the day. It was deep ball. Cameron Curl, good safety, of course, flying across the middle of the field, making a great play. You have to make a great play to pick off Daniel Jones, chat. Hey, yo. But they just did it. Was that a direct snap to Tyler Warren? It was 3rd and 2 inside in a goal to go situation, but it was one of those, like the first down was on like the 3-yard line, whatever. But it was a 3rd and 2, and they had a direct snap to Tyler Warren. I think he did pick it up, but if you're gonna do a direct snap, do you just do a tush push? I think since he's a receiver, he didn't get it, Chad. He didn't get it. I was gonna say they pushed him back, but I thought maybe the forward progress would be enough, but they ruled it no. So Steichen makes sure that Tyler Warren gets the stats, chat, gets that last yard. 4th and 1, they run it to Tyler Warren again, and this time he scores. So maybe this is the type of game where, and shout out, we love Tyler Warren. We hope he wins Rookie of the Year this year. We have to double check. Quarterbacks, I guess, aren't necessarily jumping off the board. So I think Tyler Warren might be number 1, chat. We got to check the FanDuel early on. And they're going to be updated after this touchdown as well too. Live odds. G&T is taken off his chin strap in frustration right now, and Tyler Warren's celebrating a touchdown. This is the split screen on Red Zone. So I think Tyler Warren might be higher up in the Rookie of the Year odds at the moment. We'll just double check here and see. But this is the type of game where last week we're like, I don't know, is there sneaky Jonathan Taylor could at least, and the running back winning the MVP, we're not going to be too delusional. But could he get in the conversation? Could he be on the ballot? Could he be NFL honors at the end of the year? Could he be one of the 3 guys if they continue to have this type of regular season? Oh, Chad Purdy! The pass is batted around. Who was that? Was it the running? Was it McCaffrey? McCaffrey bobbled the pass, and Lloyd, the linebacker for the Jags, swoops in and gets the interception. Great play. Is that Devin, Chad? Do we got the right name there? The right first name? But it was a little bit of a throw into coverage, but it was, of course, on, I think, the hands of the receiver there. So maybe he has to make a play. Caleb Williams driving here in the first quarter. It does seem like the Bears are moving the offense early. Ooh, a slant on 3rd and 5 to Adunze. You'll love to see it. Oh, wait, Adunze's not 14, Chad. Hey, what number is Adunze? It is what it is. Rem learns football. It's week 4. We got to like week 6 till we learn all the numbers and names. I mean, obviously Adunze's been in the year a couple of years at this point, but it is what it is. We don't have a jersey. I don't know what age you hit when, and it's obviously not even like a old guy take, but this is more of a just the watching sports through the when you're just a kid. And just the fascination of that, and just how easily the names and the numbers and all that stuff, just like you know it all. Just like first time you hear a guy's name, and you're like, oh well, I'll remember that guy's name for the rest of the year, or whatever kind of, you just see a play from a random receiver, and you're like, okay, obviously that guy, it's got 3 years now, where 4 or 5 years I'll be able to bring him up in a conversation, and now you're just like, oh man, just like it was like 2016 is the last time I know like all these guys' numbers at this point. But we were looking up Jonathan Taylor's Rookie of the Year on. See, Chad, I mean, we're going back in time already. It is what it is. Was that his rookie season? I think maybe a couple years after that. But we were looking, and not live game odds. We need to find and see if they have live. Oh, I guess we're just in the live now tab. That'd be why. We need to see if they still have the awards odds up live. Because make no mistake, they do have MVP odds up live. We did check that. We may have. We already told you. We told you guys Jared Goff 30-1 at MVP. I don't know if he's gonna win, but he's gonna rise up the ranks. And Herbert, a little interesting day today. Hurts jumped up. Hurts was the guy we were looking for in the odds chat, because they were again crushing the Bucs at halftime. And Hurts' stats were good, and we're like, well, we have, of course, we're pro Hurts in the pod in terms of at least his player status in the league, in terms of him actually being, I guess, a good player. But it's like, okay, I could see him. Oh, Chad, 3rd and goal. Max Crosby just picked off Caleb Williams. Oh, was it a batted pass? I think it got batted up in the air, and then Crosby running down the field on the return. You get run out of bounds, Chad? Does Crosby not want to take the tackle? Crosby, get it. Derrick Henry doing like a stiff arm or something there. Pause. But Caleb Williams throwing it into the line of scrimmage. Oh, Crosby batted it to himself. Oh, Chad, Max Crosby is one of the best in the league. That's one of the better defensive line interceptions, I got to say. I don't want to say, just casually throw out there that I've ever seen. And sometimes just the way you bat the pass as well, too. Is there 2% of the luck of the draw, the way it gets, I guess, Caleb Williams' arm strength, he was able to throw it, and the batted pass skies in the air, high enough to where he's able to get back underneath, pause, and able to make a play. But still, that type of, just to be able to that cleanly deflect the pass and then catch it in stride the way he did and take off down the field. It would have been nicer if, again, he would have maybe had one type, a little bit more attempt to, I guess, but you don't want to fumble as well, too. So you're defensive end. But I guess we assume Max Crosby's not Derrick Henry. I guess that would be the Derrick Henry in 2025. Chad. It would be the fumble. I guess it's not the fourth quarter, so it's not quite time yet. But stay tuned. FanDuel, can we get live odds for Derrick Henry fumble in the fourth quarter? But anyways, offensive player of the year. They might just have MVP odds up at this point because Taylor, he's gonna be like way down. Running back's not actually gonna win the MVP, but Hurts, we got him at 22-1 before, chat. So the odds are already going up for Hurts, and Goff 20-1, moved up from last week as well too. So both of those guys are climbing. The list, of course, it's a good list. It's going to be a competitive group of guys to see who is able, because again, Lamar, and not to say they're still, I think, in the odds clear the top guys, but there is a little bit of, they've both been awarded. So do they have to, I guess for any MVP as well too, you start competing against yourself. So you have to kind of outdo the own version of your MVP season. And Josh Allen is definitely still capable of that for this year, for sure. I think, I guess Lamar is too, but some of those Lamar stats from in the past, it's just like, oh, geez, man, Lamar, you're just going crazy here. But the Josh Allen, maybe the wins as well too. That's the thing. Like the Ravens have also had the 14 win, 17 game season, but the 14 win regular seasons. Buffalo still feels like, I guess we go back, were they 13 last year? The Ravens were maybe the higher win team last year. Wait a second, wasn't last year the year Lamar also had better stats in one more games? I don't remember. Oh, Chet, down the field. Oh, speaking of better stats, Lamar also throws an interception. Hey, is that Chanel, the linebacker, picking off the down the field heave to Mark Andrews? Oh, chat, I don't know if Mark Andrews is like a screw it. Mark Andrews is down there somewhere. Mark Andrews is out there somewhere. Is there a better way to say that, chat? I don't know if there is a just chuck this one to Mark Andrews type situation, but. And I guess in terms of receivers that they have, guys that are going to win, Joe, you do have Likely. Oh, and he looked at Likely too. He's trying to make a play, down the field, but maybe you just dump it off and pause and just just let Likely maybe try to create yards after the catch. But shout out to Chanel. Did the Niners also get a pick? No, Chad. Travis Hunter, a good catch in traffic down the middle of the field. We don't want to start being like, oh, he makes basic receiver plays. It's like, oh, shout out. But it feels like he is getting a little bit forgotten as that could be a potential, as he is just a really good receiver. Oh, chap, Puka down the sideline. He could just be toasting us today. It is what it is. We're going to be maybe in store for a big stats day. 7 for 11 for Stafford early on, 53. I guess he doesn't have a pick because we dropped a pick. Daniel Jones. And that's what we were saying early on. It was a little like, okay, maybe Stafford and Jones are in for a little bit of a reset day because they were just both throwing interception balls, and Daniel Jones one actually got picked off. But now they have cleaned it up a little bit, and you see Stafford taking the attempts back down the sideline. Yeah, Nakua has 63 yards. Oh, yeah, so, okay, the stats are adjusted there for Stafford after that play. I was going to say, he has 63 of Stafford's 53 yards. I don't know how that's going to work out, but he's got 63 of Stafford's 84. So, shout out to Puka. He was second in receiving yards going into the week. I guess I don't know exactly who was first, but with his target share and with the way Stafford's looking at him right now, it does seem like that could be an interesting, do we get league leader bets still for the FanDuel? I don't know. I don't think so. That might just be a preseason thing. But, anyways, I guess we were looking at fastest player in DK Metcalf. And the Steelers-Vikings game, shout out to Tomlin for maybe having a good flight back. And Gainwell as well, too. Jalen Warren, I guess I don't know his injury status, chat. Hey, we need to look up and see what's going on here because Caleb Johnson had a special teams play a couple of weeks. Yeah, so I guess just inactive. Was expected to be able to play through the knee issue he was having this week. The Steelers made him inactive after he tested his knee in pregame. Okay, so yeah, in pregame then they made him inactive. I guess we weren't listening to the broadcast when they said that, but the performance by Gainwell was very encouraging from that running back spot because again DK had the play of the game with the 80-yard touchdown. Most of his stats in the first half, but he still had great stats for the game. 5 receptions for 126 yards, and that touchdown that we talked about. But the one that he had. But the Gainwell performance was, maybe the better performance of the day as well too, because he had, I guess, 25 touches for the game, 126 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I guess DK still produced on that play. He's able to produce the same amount of yards based on fewer opportunities. I guess that could be more impressive, but just the reliance on Gainwell, and his ability to actually have that, above average type production, for sure. I guess we can't disrespect basically 100-yard game from a running back. He gets 2 more yards, he goes 100 or 3 more yards, has 102 yards in the game. We're like, oh, Kenneth Gainwell, lock him in. But maybe, chat, that's what we're saying. Maybe lock him in. Maybe he is a little more fitting. And, you get Jaylen Warren back. You're not going to cut Jaylen Warren out of the rotation necessarily. But maybe Gainwell does become a little bit more the lead back. And I don't know necessarily what the snap counts have been as well, too. Because I feel like the Warren piece of it, he was the fantasy guy that was supposed to sort of take a step forward with Najee Harris out and give him the full opportunity. Tony Pollard. So maybe that needs to be just a fantasy lesson at this point, chat. I'm trying to think of who was the original guy that started that. Who was the original, and I guess we could go back to some guy in the 90s, but the last 5-6 guys that have done that, where it's been this guy is going to get the starting job increase because of whoever. And I feel like we don't even know who that origin point is anymore. Tony Pollard. I guess Tony Pollard has been good, though, so we can't necessarily say that he hasn't been a guy that hasn't been able to produce. It's been more the Titans haven't been able to really get him some touchdowns, would be helpful. It's to help, boost his fantasy numbers as well. But Mahomes to Worthy, chat, another deep ball. I don't know if that's the overthrow. We're just looking at the replay of the pass being overthrown, but Worthy's fallen down. So from that angle, I can't. It was Worthy tripping before? Is it this pass is so far out ahead of me, Worthy has to run so fast he literally just falls? Or did he fall down and that's the reason it was incomplete? The screen to Kelsey. Oh, Kelsey! Through the Ravens defense. Sets up third and manageable as the fourth quarter goes to the end. But Warren so far 3 games, 43 attempts. 65-yard reception for Warren. That's the longest in the league at this point. Maybe that's for running back specifically. I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't have this 80-yard game registered, 80-yard reception from DK today registered yet on this website. But going into today, 65 yards being the biggest is a little bit of a surprise, honestly, at this point. But the longest rush of the season for Jaylen Warren, 11, and the longest rush of the season for last year for him, 22 as well. So hasn't necessarily been able to generate explosives in a crazy way, but 11 first downs through 3 games, I guess, it's not bad as well. But let's see here. Pittsburgh as a team, and since they're they can be a little bit more work their way down the field, sometimes first downs, obviously you just have to take everything in context. But let's see here for actual rushing attempts. Gainwell's had 16. He's been 16 for 55 going into today, and I guess snap count as well too. Let's see if they have that on this page here, or if we have to go somewhere else for it, because I guess he had 19 attempts. Warren, 60% of the offensive snaps. We've got Gainwell. Do we have to scroll down for him, Chet? Oh, wait, he's above him. Oh, 40% of the offensive snaps. I guess more special team snaps. More snaps overall. I don't know. So, yeah, more total snaps. Oh, no, wait. Warren would have been at 104. We can't do math, Chat. Gainwell would be at 103. So, even with special teams, Warren still got him. And Warren, I guess, has 2 special team snaps as well, so we can't discredit him. Anybody on offense with defensive snaps that we need to post a graphic about? Is Trey Sermon? They just need to, have a guy just run a couple of plays like that. I guess in the NFL, you can't just mess around. That guy's going to get torch. I mean, the Patriots tried that at the end of a game once with Gronk, where they're like, we can just throw Gronk in at the end of the game for fun, and it'll be fine. Nothing will happen. It's one guy on the field. They literally just ran. The guy just zipped right past Gronk and scored a game-winning Hail Mary touchdown. It's like, oh, okay, well, maybe we need to actually have, 11 defensive guys on the field. Could be smart. But, maybe there needs to be just, if a score starts going crazy, I don't know if the Steelers are going to run up the score on any team this year, but maybe Caleb Johnson at some point in the year, you just run him at like safety, or you see, again, safety is gonna be crazy. Maybe is there some type of linebacker? It'd have to be a pass rusher. It would have to be like 3rd and long. He's defensive end, and he's gonna be blitzing, and or something like that. But you run him at a couple of obvious blitz packages and just really telegraph your plays, but you run him at like 3 different blitz packages and have him carry the ball like 3 times, and then Bleacher Report can post about how Caleb Johnson, he's playing 2 ways, Chad. One of the teams right now needs to try to take the idea, because again, I get it's risky with having just basically throwing away a defensive spot on a play on the field. Like how many times do teams want to do that during the course of a game? But I feel like sometimes, again, there is specific moments where in the offense allowing the defense to substitute as well too. Once you get Caleb Johnson on the field, does the offense just like go hurry up and just keep Caleb Johnson? It's like, okay, well now we have to call timeout to get Caleb Johnson off and get him substituted and get the normal defensive alignment back on the field. But if there's a way to make it work, I think we need to try to cook up a little bit and see what's going on there. So shout out Gainwell. It'll be interesting, and maybe, I guess, speaking of fantasy, he could be the low-key fantasy guy maybe going forward to help swing some leagues, where if Warren goes back, again, I don't know if we're saying, is Kenneth Gainwell going to be an RB1? But the receiving thing is a factor, and Rodgers is just, there's going to be a check down a couple of times. I mean, there's probably going to be, how many targets did he get? I guess he went 6 for 6 in this game, so that's, pretty top-level efficiency, for sure. I mean, all of the top guys, were basically perfect from their targets. It was Scotty Miller, Ben Skoranek, and Caleb Johnson messing up Rodgers, Chad. Those were his 4 incompletions. And then he had one to Jonnu Smith, but to Calvin Austin, to Darnell Washington, Kenneth Gainwell, and Metcalf, he was perfect for all those guys. Shout out. So there is he does trust Gainwell. He did target him, I guess, the most of any of the guys. And he was able to, outproduce Mason on the ground as well. Mason this year has been, I think, a little bit lower on the stats than you would like, but I guess he did have a good game last week, so we can't just say that on the down week. Yeah, he had 116 and 2 touchdowns, but 15 for 68 versus Chicago, 9 for 30 versus Atlanta, and then today 16 for 57, and I think he may have fumbled in there as well too, unfortunately. Wentz fumbled as well, so I guess just to call out all of those guys for San Francisco. But I guess 57% rush percentage early on is, I guess, that type of advanced stat stuff that would give you pretty good hope that he can continue to ball out. And 12 first downs, like we're saying, is in a pretty, it's not in the low end, I would say, of the league as well. So the game did end up being close. They did, of course, Wentz, they did rely on him a lot, and he is erratic. So if you're not able to script the game in a certain way and stay in the lead, and then, Mason had a good game last week, so they were able to stay running the football quite a bit once they were established there. And that game was obviously, a different type of score, a different type of situation. They were a very comfortable game throughout most of the course of it. But if they don't have that run game, and not to say that what's the formula for the team competing with Wentz as well as the quarterback, but there is some moments still where Wentz will make some passes and you're like, maybe this could be, could this be a wild card team? Could McConnell just find a way? And maybe there maybe he still could. And I don't know if that's just us prepare. I guess they wouldn't go away from McCarthy this year. That'd be too dramatic for a rookie. And we still believe. And I think it's more for us, again, not being scarred as like, oh, McCarthy is going to be bad. I guess, I'm more like, I guess we're scared. What are the outcomes for his career, Chad? Hey, of course we're just nervous because he's our guy. But it's more, again, is the organization going to be, are they going to commit to him? And this is actually more so than it being just an organization that actually has a good coach and a good infrastructure, a good play calling, so good developmental system for him to actually become a good quarterback in. It does seem like the organization has actually bought in on the idea of him being the quarterback of the franchise as well too, which is the thing where if we have stock in a guy and it's like, oh, it seems like, I guess Anthony Richardson, chat, it's just Anthony Richardson PTSD. Is Anthony Richardson, did the institution fail him, chat? The institution of the Colts, or did it was vice versa? We'll never know. I guess we'll have to see, because I guess we're not going to trade him at this point. So now I'm pro trade Richardson. Free Richardson. We need to start a free Richardson hashtag somewhere. I don't know if that's going to be it's going to take take a little bit to get that one going. That's for sure. It really is going to need some momentum. But there may be a couple people on the free Richardson bandwagon, chat. We may be able to find a couple, a small but mighty army. And if we get loud enough, we may be able to make a move. I think, again, the promise we've said, we really only trust McConnell at this point, or maybe Shanahan or McVay, or LaFleur. I guess, there's a couple guys. We're not going to be bummed out if he's like, oh, LaFleur is his coach. I guess for some reason, Jordan Love's not the quarterback. Sorry, Packers fans. You traded Jordan Love for Anthony Richardson. Contracts, Anthony Richardson is actually valued now that he's off his rookie contract. 4th overall pick, paid too much. But now that he's good, I don't know what the Packers, I don't know how we're able to talk about that trade. But I guess regardless, shout out to the Steelers for at least being able to claim a win early in the year. 3-1, chat. I don't know if we look at this as the best start, because they always do sort of start the season well, but again, right now it's like, okay, maybe they're 11 wins. I don't know. Could we see it? I don't know if we're going to look back in a couple weeks and be like 7 wins for Pittsburgh. They've won 4 more games from this point on out, but they might be a little bit of a higher win regular season team than they would think. And I don't think their defense was still like, one of the best defenses in the league this game. But they were flying around. Ramsey had that fumble return touchdown get called back early because Mason had that just dumb, like, his arms on the football while he's out of bounds. All of a sudden, the touchdown just doesn't count now. But Ramsey, regardless, still, making still good plays that are made there. And they were able to sack Wentz a bunch as well, too. And, they've, speaking of receivers, chat, like, their ability to replace, I guess maybe speaking of their ability to replace talent is the actual thing to say there, but with their ability to do it with the receiver position, they do it a little bit with the pass rusher as well too. And TJ Watt, and they did have Highsmith there next to him over the last couple of years, and he was a really impactful guy, became really awesome pass rusher for him. And this is it Herwig guy, he is, I feel like, having a really good start to the year numbers wise as well too. Here, let's see Herbig. It may be Nick Herbig, the linebacker for Pittsburgh, 3rd year. I guess only 1 sack so far in the game, but 1 start as well too. So 1 sack, 1 start, and adds a second one. But I guess, if you're a defensive lineman, it's not like you need to get a sack every game. So early in the year, if he gets every other, if he's at 8, 9 in that range for the year, hovering around double digits, that's obviously pretty impactful. But again, even though TJ Watt might not, and here, let's see how many he has to start the year. I feel like his ability to actually generate the same amount of sacks to start is not quite the same. Yeah, he was 11.5 in 17 games last year. He's 2 in 3 games this year. So per game, so in 2023, he was 1.12 per game. Last year, he was 0.68, and this year he's 0.67, so right in that 11-12 sack season range as well. So I guess if Herbig is close to that. Again, he's not necessarily outproducing TJ Watt, but you do see that, and Olsen was pointing it out in the broadcast as well too. And because their defensive line is so good, Watt is going to get his own sacks as a byproduct of that as well. But Watt's ability to be able to create sacks for these other guys is still pretty undeniable. Again, it's kind of a couple of guys that have been able to find impact as a pass rusher working in the defensive line. And Cam Hayward as well too, having that balance of the inside pass rush, the outside pass rush, and just focus on the entire defensive line as a potential hazard. It's going to be easier for those other guys to sub in there. But regardless, they are able to find guys as well too. And even Sawyer, I mean, we knew that from his Ohio State days, he was going to be at least somewhat of an impactful NFL guy, but he's been able to step up. It's like, I don't know if he's quite going to be next TJ Watt type stuff. But and just in terms of having white pass rushers, Chet, he definitely would be the next one for that, in a sense. Caleb Williams, Max Crosby, destroying the game, Chet, single-handedly. They just tried to run a read option on Max Crosby. Why would you do that, Chat? Do we just need to have a list of guys don't run the read option right there? Imagine Ben Johnson, play calling genius, is like, we're gonna run a play where it's gonna be Caleb Williams one-on-one with Max Crosby, and you've got to read Max Crosby. Go to the other side, Chad. The play should be the whole line shifts to one side to block Max Crosby, and then you read the other guy. Tyree Wilson, shout out. He just made a play though as well too. So the Raiders invested in the pass rush and it's winning, chat. Shout out. More here rambling about how they should go at Wilson, and he's making a play. Let's watch the replay here. Oh, chat runs right through the guard center. He did kind of turn away as well too. You let one chip block on him and then look at the guy next to him. I don't really know what's going on there, chat. But regardless, both defensive ends make an impact, and he was a little bit, his name was thrown around a little. Was there a little bit of the Tingus Pingus chat with Tyree Wilson when he got drafted? It was like, okay, why are we taking this guy this high? But, maybe, again, speaking of playing next to good guys, the impact that you get playing from next to Max Crosby is definitely undeniable there. And you can see him definitely starting to find his way as an NFL player as well. But it's good to have the international games back, chat. If we'd won football, all day, we have football all day already. But just to be able to get up in the morning and just immediately start the day with football, just like on the, and again, going back to the, like being as football as a kid, you stumble out of bed, you're like, football in the afternoon, get the day going. But, when you get on that adult schedule, you're like, do I get up in the morning and just watch football? Like, can I get a newspaper too? I guess they don't really have TVs on porches back in the day, but, a little newspaper and some morning international football chat. So it's good to have it back. And the double Monday night game, this might be the best week of the schedule, honestly, because the difference between hot take here, chat, but the difference between seven international games, that would be a crazy time slot. I don't know, 8:30, 7 games. I don't know, maybe that's too much for the early morning, but the difference between 7 games in the early window, the I guess now not the early window, but the starting window versus 8 is really not that much. And to just move that 8th game into the international slot and just have a solo game there and just start the day with football, it works perfect. And we don't have any buys this week as well too, so we get to sneak in, kind of an international and a second Monday night game. But that's why this week in the schedule is so great. And like we're saying, week 4, we're starting to get enough of a feel for these teams. Certain, you have momentum one way or the other. So it's starting to, just kind of starting to round into shape. Pause, and not even as well too, because we're gonna get to Thanksgiving Plus, and Thanksgiving Plus, is that a new stream service, chat? We're gonna get to Thanksgiving, and after that, and then we're going to even have a different shift in what these teams are going to look like. But at least for the first part of the season, teams are starting to find their groove or not, or we're starting to get familiarity with what the teams are going to be. So, perfect week of the schedule, chat. It has been great football so far. But Karlaftis, the Lamar Jackson getting chased around for a second week in a row, chat. It is a 3rd and 26. 7.5 minutes left here in the second quarter. Ravens at their own 10-yard line. They've got 6 penalties as well, too, in the game. They're just going to try to dump it off. The screen pass, Hill. I mean, he had a runway, but he also had 26 yards to go, so he's not going to be able to pick that one up. Lawrence, chat. Lawrence is 11 for 14 today to start. Oh, right as we're talking, right as we look over, he almost throws a pick. It's a little bit behind the receiver and bobbling around. And then Warner swooping in, getting that deflection, almost able to get the interception. Here's the replay. We'll see where the placement was on that. The receiver definitely is open. Yeah, a little high and behind. I mean, definitely high for sure. A little bit behind. If it was a little bit lower, the receiver may have been able to kind of reach back, elbow, kind of catch that. Who knows? But maybe even slow down a little bit. You're really at that point just making sure that Fred Warner just lays the hit stick on him. But at least maybe Fred Warner doesn't get the interception. I don't know. Maybe Fred Warner just swoops in after the hit stick and steals the ball. It becomes even more disastrous. So there's the secret, chat. Overthrow the defender, too. And then neither of them can make the play. Trevor Lawrence is thinking ahead. It is what it is. Pause. But that's only like his 4th incompletion of the day, so that's not too bad as well. Geno Smith on 3rd and 7. Speaking of interceptions, chat, Kevin Byard picks him off. Geno. Uh-oh, chat. Uh-oh, this is going to be tough. We've continued to talk about what is that quarterback class at the draft going to look like? And is it going to be a little bit different than we thought? But maybe there's going to be a couple different top of the draft teams than we thought, because I got to turn the closed captioning off the TV because it's blocking up the Geno Smith interception, chat. Hey, yo, we got to watch the replay full screen. We can't see these overthrows. They're overthrowing right into the closed captioning, chat, every time. Hey, yo, what's going on here? But we got, like we were saying, I guess, I don't know what I was saying before we were going to turn the closed captioning off. But, yeah, shout out to Trevor Lawrence for the hot start, chat. Looking good. No interceptions, at least so far. And outperforming Purdy a little bit. I don't know if we little numbers comparison here. To start, Purdy 8 for 13. He has the pick, but outside of that as well too. Also, not great as well. Oh, Chad, Geno. That's right. We were talking about Geno. Shout out. The draft, maybe they are one of the quarterback teams that maybe them taking a guy that's like, hey, if he has to sit for a year and Geno's still a starter for a year or two, that's totally fine. But maybe them getting a little bit more desperate. Like, could they be in the Jackson Dart spot in week 3 or 4 next year with their rookie quarterback? They've got Garrett Nussmeier in week 4, and it's like, oh, is it time for Nussmeier to take over from Geno Smith? Hey, yo, Max Crosby once again, chat. So Max Crosby's going to be the MVP of the day. I think Isaiah Rodgers had a blocked field goal again. So just, another crazy, defensive play where it's one-of-a-kind play. This guy's just making special moves. But Crosby is absolutely destroying this game right now. And I feel like I'm getting, Sunday afternoon deja vu. Max Crosby's destroying a game. That's obviously happened before. But we're going to look this up here after this play. 3rd and 7. He gets it back to Zacchaeus at the line of scrimmage. But right at the line to gain, first down, yellow marker on the TV. But I think it's going to be just on the wrong side of that, unfortunately. We'll see where the electronic measurement goes up to, because the nose of the football is it just literally depends on where they set it down. It's right up against the edge of the line to gain there on the television. So we'll see if the actual measurement is as close as it seems. and he kind of falls forward a little bit afterwards. But right now they have Mendoza to the Raiders. Hey, yo, so that's looking fun, of course, with the way that they are looking and rolling, and maybe not maybe not as great of a game against Illinois, obviously, in this last game against Iowa, but still getting the win and keeping the overall efficiency intact is about what you want from, draft stock stuff as well, too, at this point. You make up your mind early and you just stick with it. But, yeah, they maybe are in the mix to see one of these guys. And because they may not have to even get to like the number one pick necessarily. And I know we were saying number one pick, but maybe more so just the quarterback mix as well too. I know this week, if they lose this game, it would definitely push them up the rankings continue. I mean, they're already close. They're at 9. So Texans won today. I guess Panthers, Dolphins, Browns, Titans, Saints, all these teams are all still losing as well too. But and I guess just Dolphins chat, hey, haven't even played yet, and we're just chalking it up as a loss. It is what it is. So I guess the Jets and the Dolphins both are going to lose somehow, even though I think they're playing each other this week. But do we double check? What's the second Monday night game? Bills playing twice this week. Broncos versus Bengals, and then Jets versus Dolphins. So yeah, both those teams will somehow still, I guess they could tie. It could be 0-3-1 potentially for the game. Oh, chat, is that Juju? The Chiefs drive down the field and score a touchdown in the first half? Uh-oh, chat, this Ravens defense might be bad. This might be really bad. The Chiefs don't score touchdowns, and definitely not in the first half. Hey, they're maybe, first drive, not the rest of the game. 4 minutes left. Well, I guess just maybe end of halves in general. They're a little bit more of a threat to just randomly find their way into a score. But this is not good, chat. A real drive? A real offensive drive for this team. Lamar is got, good efficiency overall. A little bit better than Mahomes. But the run game so far, I guess, has not necessarily been able to be too crazy. Only 4 attempts so far. So I don't know if you go back. Did Henry get hurt or something? Do you have to not go away from that? I feel like 4 attempts, 4 minutes left in the second half is a little bit low. So maybe there's like 3 in a row right here that just kind of make up for it. Xavier with the big run play early of 35 yards. But here, let's see team history for the last couple of games here. Remind ourselves what they have done first half production wise, because they ended that Giants game with 22 in something in that range, so still enough to have a good half at some point, and they did because it was low scoring for a lot of it. 22-9, 21-7 against the Chargers, 20-17 against Philly. Let's see, first half, 6 points in the first half for the Chiefs. And they're both Butker field goals. So, yeah, they didn't score a touchdown until the fourth quarter of this game. And then the game against Philly, 10 points in the second quarter. So, Butker, 13-yard rush, 2 minutes and 44 seconds left in the first half. So, kind of a similar spot. So, maybe this is their drive time for actually putting up points on the board. Maybe it's now and maybe one play later. Tyquan Thornton with the 49-yard pass from Mahomes in this game in the fourth quarter, kind of late, them getting a strike. It's definitely something that they're going to be military anyways. We'll see if they're, obviously able to continue to pull them off with a little bit of inconsistency there. But they got the 1-yard rush touchdown with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter of the last game. Oh, and they got one with 8 minutes left in the third quarter as well, too. That's the 5-yard pass from Mahomes to Thornton in that one. But regardless, point being, obviously, look at the numbers. Offense still not as dynamic as, not as just productive as you would hope it to be as well. And we should have been paying a little bit more attention to the overall point split in those halves. Because just, again, general sort of first half, second half scoring would have been interesting to see as well, too. But 14-3, Jags versus San Fran. And Purdy has to escape the pocket a little bit and throw a pass on a 1st and 15 that ends up being ruled incomplete. Oh, chat here. I guess after this play, we'll look up Max Crosby's, see if he had a game against the Bears like this. 3rd and 11. They run the screen to DJ Moore, and he does nearly pick up the first down. So Ben Johnson, 5 minutes left in the second quarter. Does he take the field goal here, make it 10-7 against Geno? Or does he try to, I guess, make it, or wait a second, 6-7? Hey, yo, chat, that would be the touchdown to make it 6-7. Wait a second. Take 3. We'll get it right. The touchdown to make it 10-7. Or the field goal to make it 6-7. But speaking of trickery, chat, hey, yo, the 49ers just ran a little hook and ladder play. The pass to Pearsall turns into a lateral for McCaffrey, and McCaffrey picks up the first down. So that was a second down situation. It was 2nd and long. They have been a little bit struggling here, so time's running short. You just kind of need to make a play in the first half. But maybe that's one you got to save for 3rd or 4th. I don't know. But regardless, it works, so you're still getting the same benefit from it as you would run it a little bit later. But the throw to Purdy, from Purdy to Jennings on the throw to the sideline is completed, and now maybe they got a little pep, chat. Maybe they got a little juice back in the offense on sort of a last-minute drive. So here, Crosby, again, destroys a lot of games. I don't know, stats-wise, maybe this is the start for him really starting to pile up numbers for the year as well, too. 2 sacks early on, 3 games. I feel like he always, is kind of in that range. 7.5 in 12 games last year. 6'7", 6'3", 6'8", 6'5", 7'4", 4'7". So yeah, he'll have like a couple monster games like this where he'll just go crazy from a stat standpoint and pile up a lot of numbers. So let's see if the Bears have already been on the receiving end of some of these high-level days from our guy Crosby. Maybe last year? No, not last year specifically. Not in 2023. Oh, here we go, chat. 2023. He had a sack, 1 QB hit, no interceptions, no fumbles, nothing too crazy in that one. And, I don't know how many times he necessarily played Chicago in his career. 2021, didn't really have any stats against him in that game. How many played? 81% of the snaps. Didn't log a single number. Okay, Chad. So maybe Chicago is not the team that, he's destroyed the most in the career. I guess we didn't say that necessarily. But I feel like I thought I had seen him just having crazy days like this against the Bears before. So maybe we're just having deja vu from that one play specifically. Did we get that right, Chad? Hey, yo. That one play specifically? But, maybe not the entire game is what we're thinking of. 2019, he had a sack. No fumbles against him. 2019, oh, here we go. Oakland, Cincinnati. Perfect, chat. I think this might be the game because he got 4 sacks in this one. And is this a fumble? 1 forced fumble. So I'm assuming one of those turned into a strip sack. Yeah, it doesn't really have, like, touchdowns or scores listed on here. Passes defended. Yeah, like, personal touchdowns or anything like that. But he had 4 sacks in that game against Chicago in 2019. Is that his career high? Still to this day, his career high. 3 against Denver 2021, 3 against the Giants in 2023. But shout out again, not maybe as numbers-wise crazy as he was in that game, but he was, I guess we'll have to see. He's still playing as well, too, so he could rack up the numbers. If he has 2 sacks in the first half today, then I guess that does kind of put him on pace. It wouldn't be too far off Here, let's take a quick look. Ayo. That would not be where the box score is located. For defensive stats, Max Crosby, we've got 3 tackles for a loss. They've got him listed at no sacks, but 3 tackles for a loss. So at least 2 of those got to be re-registered as sacks. I don't know what we're doing here. Maybe all 3 of them are, and they just don't have the column updated. I mean, I guess they got Tyree Wilson here listed as a sack, and not necessarily excluding that. But regardless, Chad, hey, yo, how do we not get this guy a sack? Shout out. He is still destroying the game. Regardless, 19 yards on the return. As much as Duvernay, chat, who would you rather have returning your punts, Devin Duvernay or Max Crosby? I mean, you got to roster one of them, so if you roster Max Crosby, like, you can also play him at defensive end. If you roster Devin Duvernay, you have to play him receiver. G&T up the sideline, chat. Oh, he breaks a tackle. He breaks a tackle. The defender trying to bring him down from behind the wrap-up, but G&T is just too powerful, runs right through it. It doesn't even matter. I don't know what we got for distance. I'm sure we'll get an update here and see. But, hey, yo, that is not looking too crazy. Not looking too good for the Bears fans if the Raiders are starting to build some momentum on plays like this. And great offensive line blocking there. G&T just stays patient, kind of navigates through the opening created, pause, and the breakaway speed that we were talking about earlier. I mean, you see it right there with G&T. I don't know if we check if he did like a combine pro day situation and registered a number in that way, but if we had the timer out for him, I'm sure it would still register about the same as all the other ones. And yeah, so Duvernay returning punts or returning interceptions. Max Crosby kind of doing the same thing as well too. But I guess 19-47 is a win. Oh, Byard, chat. Byard 2 for 40. Yeah, 47 for him on the interceptions so far is crazy. So he's had Geno Smith's number early in the game. Geno Smith 4 for 8, 31 yards. Caleb Williams 9 for 16, 67 yards. But he, again, also has a pick as well, too. So 3 first-half picks in the Bears-Raiders game. And that's a tough visual comparison, contrast, whatever, for Caleb Williams in this game where, you kind of see another guy in this mix where it's like, oh, maybe he's trying to serve way. What do we do contract-wise? You just start to have long-term conversations about some stuff as well, too. But Mahomes, 1st and 10, floats it up to Kelsey, chat. Hey, yo. The beautiful little touch pass right over the top of the defender. Kelsey in stride. Mahomes, maybe, just maybe, starting to dial it in. He missed some deep shots, of course, pause earlier in the season. Really some inaccurate passes, atypical for what he might do. But if he is dialing it in, chat, then it would be interesting to see, obviously, what the level of the skill guys are around him. Because if Kelsey is still a guy that can get, 2.5 out of every 3 maybe 3 out of every 4 third downs, then you're still looking pretty good at that point, and everything else is just already taken care of. So the Ravens have an injured defender. Is that Roquan Smith? Injured, chat, walking off the field. Hey, yo, majorly frustrated. Hopefully that's not anything too crazy. I don't think that's Patrick Queen as well, too, because I don't think he's that number. But the most completions by a quarterback tight end duo. Oh, Mahomes and Kelsey are way behind Rivers and Antonio Gates at this point. They still got almost 700 to go. So I think we could definitely just leave them, but it's not nothing. So Mahomes scrambling. Gets tackled. It's only a couple. Oh, wait a second. Hey, yo, chat. We're not paying attention. We've got the running back number 24 in for the Chiefs. at this moment. 13-7, 2 minutes left in the second quarter. And they have the ball, Chad, so there's a chance. And they get to start the second half. So you know they're not going to go up 28-6 or 28-7 or whatever right now. It just completely turned the game on them that way. But I feel like once we see where this drive starts to go here and we get a sense of what it looks like they might be able to put up on the board in terms of competitively, then, I think it does, of course, open itself up a little bit more to be a little bit more of an aggressive thing for him. But G&T 9 for 91 and a touchdown, that long of 64. This has definitely been the best start to his career for him as well. Great game. You love to see him finally starting to make paths in the NFL. But 2-minute warning, chat, for Ravens versus the Chiefs. We will take a quick timeout, and then we will be back to continue to work through week 4 of the NFL season right after this. Okay, chat, we are back. Mahomes just scores on a 1st and goal on a little running back I forget what Olsen called it earlier in the game, but this was another one. I mean, shout out to Greg Olsen, of course, but this was another one that he had talked about it as just a really good play, as it's not even really like it's a fake that he said is not even sold that well, but just by, I guess, the nature of the play design and how, just how easy the pass ends up being to the running back, you get an easy pass and a decent amount of space to work with in terms of a head start for the running back. So it may not always be like a 30, 40-yard play, but as a go-to short yardage play. And this is different, too, in the goal line when, like any situation, of course, the field is shortened. And you don't necessarily have the deep element to pause to worry about. But when you are working from a little bit more in the middle of the field, and you do have the extra element of offense to keeping in mind from a defensive standpoint, those plays can get extra interesting in that standpoint as well, too, because of just the way the defense has to account for more space, and I guess the way that your ability to pick up maybe short yardage abilities in those circumstances versus short yardage abilities in actual short yardage spaces like red zone circumstances. But works there for the Chiefs, of course. And again, this is not good for the Ravens offense. Ravens defense. I know we could talk about the fact that the Kansas City offense here could definitely be revitalizing, and make no mistake, we're going to be looking back in a couple weeks and definitely think that it is. And we can't not pretend like there wasn't a couple of things that didn't happen in that New York game that were interesting, and maybe that New York defense is good as well too, because they were, awesome against the Chargers today and making them work. And the Chargers, I guess we can maybe speak more on that game as well too, but they did look really good in that game. So you're like, okay, football math, do the Chiefs get was that actually like okay that the Chiefs put up 22 points against the Giants defense? And I guess the Cowboys put up 40 on them. So their offense is one of those football math. I guess we would think of it as a good offense in a sense. But regardless, maybe actually it wasn't too bad. And there was a couple of, again, maybe some of the attempts, the targets to Tyquan Thornton were actually being a little bit more successful as well too. And Mahomes is starting to dial in some of that down the field accuracy. And Sam was sending me a post as well too after the game that was like, it's Tyquan Thornton or Tyreek Hill. Which one would you rather have? And I was, or Adonai Mitchell, chat, or Adonai Mitchell. Hey, yo, Veach. I mean, I don't think Ballard would. I don't know if Ballard would help out Veach like that. But is Veach still in charge of the Chiefs? Who's running the Chiefs right now? But if the Chiefs were smart, and the problem is the Colts are good this year. But if the Colts were bad, that would be a sneaky, call the Colts and see if they'd offer you a receiver, because we do have a lot of guys. And I personally wouldn't trade any of the guys, I guess. Chad, we're start throwing out what certain values are for this nice receiving core that we really like. Oh, no, Chad. Speaking of trading guys, Mitchell, did he just lose the ball out of bounds? Oh, no. Did he fumble out of the back of the end zone? Oh, Chad, did he drop the ball across the goal line? Oh, Chad is the former Jonathan Taylor move. Taken after his former teammate. Oh, Chad, fortunately, it's a locker room. I don't know if the locker room is understanding or if it's, fed up with those type of plays, if enough guys are left on the team. But, Chad, maybe we want the Chiefs to call. Oh, no, that's not good. No, we love Adonai Mitchell. Adonai Mitchell's a great talent for this offense. But, hey, yo, that is crazy. And they just moved the question marks to the yardage graphic for where the starting field position is going to be at for this next play. Wait, do the Colts get it back? Oh, okay, no, this is just a rewind. I was like, Adonai Mitchell again. Hey, yo, okay, we're back. And that is, it is a good play. The defense staying with him. They're knocking him off balance the whole time, but the celebration, and you could see maybe he needs to go for the extension because he's kind of going out of bounds a little bit. So it's right on the line of, do we have to pull up the Jonathan Taylor one to make it? I don't know if that's the point of the film room. it's like, okay, we'll make him feel better in that type of way. Guys, maybe new Kevin O'Connell style coaching, Chad. I don't know, but they criticize the other guys, tear down to build up. But I feel like the Taylor one was much more egregious from a celebration standpoint, if I remember correctly. Maybe we're projecting other of those type of plays on Jonathan Taylor, but let me see here. Jonathan Taylor fumble, if this is the one that I am thinking of, Chad. Unfortunately, an iconic play, and now at this point, Taylor's had so many great plays. And, we hope Adonai Mitchell has enough great plays to make up for this as well. But and I guess I don't know how much of this we're allowed to watch, chat. Hopefully the NFL doesn't take us down. I guess we'll just kind of, in and out. And you see, that's a full, he's actually setting up for the celebration at that point. And there is, there's literally no one around him. There's no defender in the play just in general. Like, he basically walks into the end zone untouched. Great cut as well to create that space, the breakaway speed from the last defender there. But, obviously much more, I think, unnecessary. The fumble aspect of it, that's literally him just dropping the ball. Whereas I think, again, Mitchell was kind of extending there a little bit to make sure that in case he would have tripped out of bounds or tiptoed the sideline there a little bit to make sure that he would have still scored. So it was a little bit necessary, but it is still, it doesn't make it any less unfortunate that we're not able to get points on that situation. So regardless, you keep it moving. He's going to be great. We love having him on the team. Hopefully he's not on the Chiefs in, week 5, but, I would say week 6. I guess that'd be soon. But that would be a sneaky team. Oh, we're giving him credit, Chad. I think he just dropped it. It is what it is. Shout out. Young guy, mistake. Hopefully it's, speaking of Jordan Mason with that fumble earlier, they went right back to him on the next time they were able to get him a run. I think they threw a pass to Jefferson and then ran the next offensive play after that. So there was one offensive play after the fumble that they ran, and then they ran it back to Mason. And he was like, okay, we're going to make sure to protect it, 2 hands on the football, like really make sure not to fumble at this time. So, that's at this point, obviously we're not going to say, oh, you cut him mid-game. But, at this point, that's what you got to do, right? You got to make sure, I don't know if you run a little screen back to Adonai Mitchell and just make sure, hey, 2 hands on the football, we're just trying to get positive plays. We don't need to score on every play. It's the classic, we can take a 2, we don't need a 3. Like, if you got a layup, if you just take the layup, we can get a 3 later. Potentially, hopefully, but we live to see another day, play-wise, offensively, but still have that rhythm, belief, let him make a good play that actually, I guess, stays on the stat sheet. Hey, chat, get the fantasy owners some of those stats back. I guess maybe Mitchell, probably not in some starting lineups this week, maybe even, flex plays. It'd have to be a really big league. Maybe a 1 quarterback league as well, too. So you would need to play a lot of receivers. So maybe it would have to be a 16-team league. Are there anybody starting Adonai Mitchell this week in fantasy? Let us know. DM us at REMINGTOM Pod on Instagram and let us know. Did Adonai Mitchell mess up any of your fantasy stuff? That play, you do have the Buccaneers, I guess more from a gambling standpoint, with the end of the game safety situation, which we did see. Which college game was that, Chet? You guys are going to know it. Rem's an old man today. Rem has no recall today. Start writing stuff down. Chet, we can take notes. We can get a sticky notepad, start jotting things down. Once you start jotting things down, Chet, we might be cooked. But I guess there was a college game yesterday. One of the whippersnappers in college ran out of the back of the end zone to end of the game, and Brady was saying it as well too on the broadcast. And I get the theory of, you just got to use up the entire field behind you. I don't know, but you got to use up all that space to run the clock. It makes sense. But running right back into the end zone, that part doesn't make any sense to me. The idea is also, I think, to avoid potential what if this goes wrong circumstances. And they did it with, I'm trying to think, the college team, I think, did it with the quarterback. I don't know if we can look this up, chat. This feels more like a Chat GPT search than a Google search. Let's see. College guy runs out of end zone. I mean, it just happened, obviously. So, Cam Ward. Oh, chat. Oh, Orlovsky still pops up in the search, chat. Hey, yo. Shout out to Orlovsky. I mean, you know, it's obviously, unfortunately for Orlovsky, an iconic play. And, you know, speaking of being able to make up for that play, you know, I think maybe not the NFL stuff, but the off the field, the breakdowns, chat, you know, he's obviously been able to shout out. I think the unfortunate thing is he's like, it's like he should be able, like, from his viewpoint, the out of bounds should start to be in his peripheral vision with how far out of bounds he is. He should just start to see, like, oh, I'm out of bounds. And I don't know if he's talked about this play where it's like, you know, he's just kind of playing through the whistle at that point. It's like, okay, well, if they're not going to call it, like, I'm still going. But obviously knowing that, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, that is, you know, it's an aggressive picture, of course, chat. Shout out. We're kind of off the trail at this point. Shout out, I guess, Cam Ward also in the mix. Do we have to go 2025? Bing. Hey, yo, step it up. This is crazy. And we're not looking for, I guess, the goof as well, too. It literally has no idea what we're talking about. This is not good. Yeah, we literally just we froze it, chat. The computer just froze, and it's now has no idea how to compute. This play is so crazy that it just broke the internet. It literally broke the internet. It has no idea why it's calling this play. So I don't know if we're going to be able to find the NFL version as well. But I feel like if we go look up the college game here, there's no way. Is it going to be on the homepage? I want to say it was that. Well, I guess it would be a close game as well. Was it the Alabama game? It might have been the Bama game, honestly. Was it DeBoer that called that? Maybe it was... Oh, it was Indiana, chat. That's who it was. Let's go to the Indiana game real quick. You know, speaking of Mendoza, shout out to bringing that IQ to the Raiders. If there's a late game situation, they draft Mendoza. He's like, I got an idea. We did this in college. Let's run out the back of the end zone. You know, you would see that going wrong for him. Definitely. Let's see if we get they got the late play touchdown. They don't have it listed as like a video highlight. Guy runs out of the back of the end zone. Oh, wait, here, recap? Let's see if it's in the recap. We have to confirm, chat. We got to fact check. I guess we can't just, you know, throw out accusations that they would dare do this. And, oh, chat, Gronowski left the game in the fourth quarter with a lower leg injury? Hey, yo. That is, of course, something that we didn't know not watching the game live. But maybe a big reason why they were able to. And let's see, Gronowski transferred. Gronowski wanted to be back in the next Iowa series, but it was placed by Hank Brown, who finished 5 for 13 for 48. So wait, did it say what Gronowski was at this point in the game? 19 for 25 for 144. Yeah, chat. Gronowski's been good for him, and 2 national titles in the FC. I mean, you know, we make no mistake, we got Iowa fans that were be like, hey, you know, Gronowski, and shout out, we've got Iowa fans in our lives. One of the Iowa fans, you know, shout out, we obviously one of the top guys. We love talking to him, but he is always super high on the transfer quarterbacks that Iowa gets. And again, it's great as well too, because it's like this niche is awesome. I love just like I know he's gonna have an update on in the offseason, whatever the transfer portal Iowa quarterback mix is, or, you know, that tier of guys they're going to be competing for. And, or, you know, it's like, hey, Gronowski, FC. And this was the first one where I'm like, okay, this resume, it kind of sounds legit, because there's a couple where it's like, well, you know, this was like a 4-star guy like a couple years ago, and, you know, he bounced around some low. Again, that's not a bad thing, but it's just like, okay, you know, I don't know, is this going to be the guy who transfers in and, you know, overcomes all the Brian Ferentz offensive play calling stuff? But Gronowski having success again on like in a real FCS type of way. It was like, okay, this is translatable. And then we actually sat down and watched a big chunk of an Iowa game at one point, and it was definitely a favorable opponent. But it was like, okay, great, you know, he's making some plays here, so I could, you know, maybe they're able to get upset in that situation to be able to win. And I guess it doesn't say here what it doesn't say here that they ran out of the back of the end zone, chat, but I just found out how we could confirm this because Iowa's got a sneaky little 5 points listed here on the fourth quarter box score. So, football math, I don't know how you get to 5 without a safety. There's no free throws in football. Iowa did not get fouled late and make both their free throws. Start playing the foul game with Iowa, chat. Maybe later. Or I guess, later this year. There could still be time. Do they play Iowa? They would have to play Iowa in 2025. I guess they wouldn't have to. Maybe they play them in 2026. But, regardless, I guess technicality. So, shout out. 15. You can get to the 15 on the field goals for sure. But the 5, we're obviously all focused on the score here, chat. The 5 is the thing that gives away the fact that they were at the safety. So Mendoza also had decent stats as well too. And speaking to guys about college stuff, we were talking to our transfer portal friend. I don't know. I guess, hey, yo, chat, that sounds like a bad thing. It sounds like he's obviously not the lock him in, full scholarship, full ride. Ayo, pause. But Dante Moore, number 1, does seem like it should be right. Mendoza, I guess a little bit down the list. I forget who was it. Maybe it wasn't Mendoza. It was a different guy he was saying was number 1. Jeremiah Smith, that's probably just an Ohio State thing as well, up at 9-5. Tied for second with Ty Simpson, chat. So, I don't know. Did Alabama also try that, though? Dear, I guess we can go to the Alabama. I don't think they finished with a weird score. Did they? Let's see here. Yeah, 21-24. So I think it was just no trickery plays at the end of the game. But again, I guess point being, the Eagles ran that play today to end the game against the Buccaneers. And I don't know if Sirianni, if you make your top 10 coaches of the league list, if he's going to be, in the competition for number 1. But he has, of course, under this team now, having a lot of successful playoff runs and a lot of successful versions of this team, established himself as a really good coach. It just seems a little confusing that Sirianni would be the guy to make that happen. I know that maybe tush push, I don't know. Maybe there is like a weird, forward. I don't know if it's forward thinking, but just them always kind of being, I guess, an edgy rules type team. Maybe it is not super surprising that they would do it, but again, as just a quote unquote smart team, I guess I would have thought that team's like, there's a better way to execute this, and that's exactly what Brady was saying as well. Shout out to Brady. Brady is good on the broadcast this year, Chad. I don't know if Brady is still like the number 1 guy. I don't want to say this. Is Brady? Can you win the Super Bowl with Brady as your lead broadcaster, Chad? I don't know. I don't know if it's the best Super Bowl broadcast, but I don't think it's unlistenable at this point. And I think, and with the way that Brady has been calling games this year, I do think Brady on the Super Bowl this year. If again, we're just saying hypothetically, I think. Is it NBC this year? Collinsworth might be on the Super Bowl this year because he just re-signed. I saw a post saying that he re-signed his deal and he's got like 2 Super Bowls in his next contract. So maybe like this year and then the re-signing gets him another Super Bowl. So that's why he's able to get the second one in the mix. But let's see if it says... Wait a second. Senate Bill 2026? Hey, yo, chat. We want Super Bowl 2026. We're just having a good time on the Rem and Sam pod. We have to go TV. This is an old man Google search right here, chat. Which TV channel is Super Bowl going to be playing on? Yeah, NBC. So shout out, it will be Collinsworth on the call this year. Hey, Mike, I'm so happy to be back calling the biggest game in sports. It's such a great time. But the fact that if Brady was on the call this year, if that was a hypothetical, then I think he could elevate his game to actually call a pretty good Super Bowl. And Burkhart's good as well too as a play-by-play guy. Burkhart's fun listen. So the duo of there is this their second or third year together? Maybe that if this is their third year, it's just like that first Brady year was so mind-numbing that it's just totally forgotten. But again, similar to the Brady career. Maybe Brady, who knows? Brady 20 years from now, are we gonna be looking back, being like Brady's the greatest broadcaster of all time? He can put in the work. I forget there was. Speaking of posts, I saw a post that was him in like the head, like sitting with a headset at one of the Raiders games. It might have been the Monday night game because I guess he wouldn't have been working. So I guess that is something. He's still. There is a world where I guess he could just be the Raiders' minority owner. Like there is probably some buyout option on that Fox contract, I'm sure Fox would have loved to talk about him in the moment and be like, we got Olsen, we could, I don't know if maybe they'd love to get a few more years out of that contract as well too, as a money well, make it money well spent. But for him to actually, again, commit to the broadcasting versus there is a world where he is a more active minority owner than a lot of these other minority owners in basically any other sports. And I guess, in terms of we're talking ownership stake at that point, but, in terms of minority owner, but in terms of, again, the percentage of the team owned, he does have a little bit more control than some of the other people that maybe have a similar stake. Purdy with another high pass over the middle. That's risky, chat. The Jags defense is around these passes. So Purdy is, the 49ers only have 6 points right now. Jags defense is playing well, but some of these are just right on the edge of, again, that other one too earlier that got picked. McCaffrey was kind of, if we remember correctly, bobbling that around a little bit. I guess it's a good pass because it's completed, but it's a great catch too by Jennings, our guy that was on our perfect fantasy lineup, late round fantasy pick for 2025. He's had some injury issues that he's been dealing with to start the season, but as he gets rolling, he could be a real impact guy for him. And, be maybe a consistent, and you don't want to say, 60 yards a game, whatever. But if you're in that, if he could be a 5-6 catch, 60, 70 yard type, I guess real fantasy numbers. Definitely a flex option at that point from where he was being drafted. It's fine. But so I guess here, why are we still on this Alabama-Georgia game? I don't know. Shout out to Ty Simpson, Chad. I guess he's looking really good. We're all over the place at this point. I don't even remember what we were just talking about from the NFL before we were pivoted into that last thing. But Ty Simpson getting the win over Georgia, maybe it's just sort of a mental thing with Kirby Smart at this point because it's obviously not even Saban. Alabama, they had maybe not been as quite the number one team with Saban. They're still not quite, we're struggling to the top 25, but they weren't as quite the same, obviously locked in number one team in college football every year. Those last couple of years with Saban, Kirby Smart, maybe preseason hype, his teams were a little bit better, but it was like, Jedi Masters, Kirby Smart can't quite get the win over him. And now that's not even an excuse, and DeBoer is still able to carry the one part of the lineage that DeBoer is able to carry on at Alabama is he's able to still get a win over Kirby Smart. It is what it is. It's unfortunate. It might honestly be the last thing that is keeping Kirby Smart from being that sort of lead head coach in college football. And I guess he's kind of already that because he has the 2 national titles as well. So there's really, again, just his legacy at this point and it's not just, with the other guys leaving. Like, again, he's won 2 national titles. So even with, again, Saban in the mix, like if we were ranking current coaches, you still would at least have to argue for Kirby Smart in that conversation. But with a bunch of these other guys moved on at this point, you really have to look at him as the best resume we have. But he still doesn't, I think, get the sort of, again, I don't think he's quite moved into that Jedi Master territory quite yet. I think he still is a little bit of a student to some of those guys before him. And again, he's not even coaching against those guys now. It's just sort of the ghost of those characters in these schools. And specifically, I guess, Alabama as well. Because I don't know what his actual record is against Alabama, but he might only have 1 or 2 wins against him at this point. And they broke their home losing streak as well too. So here, let's double check. Kirby Smart versus, I guess, Bama. We'll see what we got here. What's his career record as the coach of Georgia? Losing them all with a combined score of 1-7? Wait a second, Chad. I didn't realize it was that bad. Whoa, I was going to say, and I know he's been around for, again, a while now too, so we need to give him credit for a couple more years. But I was going to say he's like 1-3 versus Alabama, 1-4, but 1-7 is crazy. This includes 3 SEC title games in a college football. And I guess we're just running off the search as well too. Do we have to click into an article here and make sure we're actually actually verifying what this search AI is saying? USA Today. Okay, Chad. Obviously a trustworthy source. Can we scroll through this article before the paywall hits? Let's see what happens here. Look at his resume. It looks a bit like video game stats. Okay, so yeah, here we go. So I guess, chat, they just did all the work for us. We'll just steal from this guy. Who is this? Shout out John Luezi. Hopefully we said the last name right, but Looks like a great article here on USA Today. I guess, and we quote, chat. Should we just read the whole thing? Hey, yo. Yeah, Georgia and Kirby Smart's won an impressive amount of games. Resume, won 108 and 19. 6 SEC East Division titles. 6 New Year, 6 bowl games. 3 SEC Conference Championship titles. There we go. We'll get the big dog titles there. But if you look a little bit deeper, there's a noticeable Achilles heel in Smart's career. He can't beat Alabama. And this would have been before the game as well, too. You see him got the start time listed there. Last year, Smart's Bulldogs weren't able to work themselves out of a 30-7 halftime deficit. And that was I don't want to say that's the Carson Beck transfer game, but that might be the Carson Beck transfer game. And he was really good in that second half in terms of just continuing to fight and get that game competitive. And, again, and speaking of, and we're saying the Carson Beck transfer game in terms of getting him out of Georgia, but if you're Miami looking at that game, you're going, there's a toughness there that he's hanging in and fighting, and as long as we're not facing Alabama in the regular season, maybe we'll be okay. But shout out to the 49ers. Purdy just goes down the field, and the Andy Reid shuffle. I think we got to call that pass the Reid shuffle, chat. Maybe we call it the Travis Kelce shuffle because they designed the play, I feel like, originally for Travis Kelce, and I'm sure Reid borrowed that from somebody as well too. He's a historian of the game, so he's innovating off of all of this stuff. He's like, the man's like the Dr. Dre of coaches. He's out here sampling all this stuff. Belichick's a historian as well too. But I feel like, again, Belichick is just not necessarily the same type of X's and O's craftsman that the way that Reid is. I think Belichick, at the peak of his powers, of course, his ability to, who even knows, what was his ability to inspire? Obviously he's got a charm about him that people want to be around him, man. I guess maybe his circle's just a little different now. He decided to redistribute his charm in a different way, but it was a different kind of charm that, again, was able to at least get these guys to play really well. And as a talent evaluator, as an ability to get, I guess from a defensive, the defensive play calling, we have to give him credit for that as well too. It's not like it's just I guess all halftime speeches for our guy Bill Belichick. But the Reid, at least offensively, the way he's able to innovate on a lot of the stuff that we've seen, or not that we've even seen, the stuff that we haven't seen, but from a NFL history standpoint, a lot of the stuff that has been done before is, of course, maybe second to none as well. So, but I guess point being, we probably that play, at least for our generation, I feel like the Chiefs were the ones that brought that to popularity. That little goal line, tight end, receiver, running back, whoever kind of goes into the middle of a line, and you get that little flip pass shuffle. Great. I guess actually, now that I think about it, because we did rewatch this game in the off season, so that live stream's available here on the channel. But the Cardinals-Packers playoff game, when Fitzgerald had that crazy, awesome fourth quarter run, and the Cardinals with Carson Palmer were making it to the NFC Championship game, and they ended up losing to Cam Newton, and Peyton Manning ends up winning the Super Bowl that year with the Broncos. Shout out. But that Packers-Cardinals game was a great game, and that Fitzgerald performance, of course, was an all-time performance. We loved watching it. We loved going back and rewatching it. But that's how they, I guess, spoiler alert, that's how they ended the game, was that that kind of shuffle pass to our guy Fitzgerald. So maybe we call it the Fitz Shuffle, chat. I don't know if it's the Fitz Shuffle or the Andy Reid Shuffle, but I guess DM us at REMINGTOM on Instagram. Let us know what we should be naming that play. But I guess back to Kirby Smart, chat. Hey, yo. The Bulldogs are 0-3 in SC Championship games against the Crimson Tide. Chat, it's not good, Georgia fans. Times I guess this is the resume right here, chat. This will make us do the work ourselves. So yeah, they've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 and 7. The AI is up to date, chat. Hey yo, so 1-7 after the game today. So again, the overall resume compared to compared to the other guys in the sport is pretty overwhelming in terms of the championship success. But Day has his championship now as well too, and we're going to be careful here, giving the Ohio State guys too much credit. But I'm just if he has a really good season this year, and they have maybe some more, we would hate to say it, chat, But if they have some more playoff success, then he, of course, his name is now in the mix if he's tying Kirby Smart in that type of way. Hey, we'd hate to see it, but it's still obviously a real possibility. And Dan Lanning is a guy that could really get his name in the mix as well, too, this year. That Oregon team looks really good. We've had multiple versions of that team. A lot of quarterbacks go through. Maybe Will Stein, the coordinator, gets a lot of credit there as well, deservedly so. But if they, again, have a run of the playoffs as well, then he would be right there for best coach in college football. And with the way they beat Colorado, with the way they basically ended the Deion Sanders run like 3 games in, like it kind of hasn't been the same since then. And it has, of course, the talent. That was the first game against real talent, and real talent. Be respectful for the teams that they played beforehand. But we're saying like, the Power 5, kind of top 5 ranked teams. And again, it's sort of a different level as well too, where if Colorado is even, again, we're 25th ranked team in the nation, that's awesome for where they were at a couple seasons ago, and Deion helping them work their way back up to the level would be an amazing thing to see. But for that type of, it just showed that they were still on an even, completely different playing field than some of these other top level teams. And I guess maybe the thing that hasn't been the same since then, I guess maybe the thing is it has been the same since then, and they've still kind of been a big discrepancy in that, obviously maybe the talent thing, but just in terms of, again, the overall the expectations as well too, results compared to expectations. Like, it feels like the team is a little bit underachieved as well. And as they find some consistency at the quarterback spot, hopefully that helps. But we went to bed last night, and the game was at halftime, and they were in the lead, and they were still the underdog to win the game. It's like plus 150? It might have been like plus 120 something for them to win. So make no mistake, we jinxed it and just straight. I think we parlayed it with them for the Chiefs to win. So that honestly is that's why the Chiefs are winning. And I guess 20-10 here, second half underway, 3-1 for the Chiefs. We'll see if the Ravens actually, opposite effect here. They're actually able to kind of make a comeback in that type of way. Pause, but I was like, okay, well, if we're gonna get plus odds in a team that's winning at halftime like this, we might just have to randomly parlay it just in case. And maybe Colorado with Salters back in the mix at quarterback, if again them finding consistency at that spot, maybe it could lead to actually more success. And if this is the beginning of it, maybe finding some value in the odds is actually going to happen. But they did lose the game, so again, Kansas City is going to win because that parlay is going to not hit. But it's not. We're not going to lose the entire parlay. So it's only a 2-leg parlay. So that means Kansas City has to win their leg since Colorado already lost theirs. But I guess Simpson in that first game that they lost, because I guess now it's now the fact that they've gotten the win against Georgia, I guess now we fully pivoted to College Corner as well too. Oh, Lawrence with the pick, chat. I literally looked up a couple of seconds ago, saw Lawrence stat. They showed a play where the play was called dead because of a penalty, but there was a good opportunity with the way the defense was set up. They were highlighting maybe Lawrence could have attacked a certain spot on the field, and it looked like they really wanted to do it. And I was like about to say, Lawrence is kind of cooking today, and he just threw a pick, so there's a flag on the field. Lawrence is still out there. I think it's going to be against San Francisco. It may still be pass interference, Chad. It's pass interference on the 49ers. I guess we don't have number 20, Stout? I guess not, new player for us. We hate to learn his name on a pass interference call. But the Jags will continue to, I guess, see where this drive goes. And that was, the guy that got the pick as well, too. Did he push off? It doesn't, chat, wait a second. What happened there? So the camera cut to Stout. That game's on mute, right? Or the red zone's on mute. We have the Ravens-Chiefs game sound on. So the camera cut to Stout after they called the penalty. So I assumed it was on Stout. But I think they just cut to Stout because it was the interception. Because that looked like a clean pick. And honestly, it looked like a good jump as well, too. Maybe he could have put that out as, I don't know, a step further or whatever. But that was a good play by the corner. So I don't know if that's even on, even on Lawrence there. But and maybe Jags fans have been saying that all year. But here, I guess we're on the corner of college and NFL. So we're going to hang out here for a second, I guess. Oh, college basketball? Not quite yet, chat. Not quite, though. NBA is right around the corner. We are getting close. So here, Ty Simpson. And the numbers from that first game were not, like, crazy bad as well, too. That was one of those where, like, if you looked at his box score, you wouldn't necessarily think that Bama lost the game. And was it game 1 or game 2? It was game 1. And Florida State, that doesn't even look as bad now as it did back then. And, they, of course, have the close game against Virginia that goes into multiple overtimes, and Virginia gets the great home win. But, if they're a 1-2 loss team this year, and Castellanos is, again, a guy that can step up in a moment like that and perform, that's not a game to look back at. And I think in the moment as well, I know, check our tapes, chat. We were looking at DeBoer being like, oh, what's happening? This is not the sort of Saban standard, I guess, that has been, not that Saban, that Saban carried on from the legends before him as well, too. Bear Bryant, chat. But, again, that he had definitely maintained for the modern era of it. Worthy down the field with the big play. Yeah, chat, this Ravens secondary is getting cooked. This is not good. Hamilton, chat. We send this guy on some blitzes? I don't know. Coverage stuff is not working. Oh, the corner, chat. Broken ankles. I don't know if we get the minor little contact push off there. I don't think. That might have been the thing. But it wasn't, because I could say it wasn't like the cleanest ankle breaking route. But sometimes, an ankle breaking crossover is not always the best crossover in a game. It just it depends as much on the the current balance of the defender too, as much as it does as that combining with the momentum of the offensive player, obviously, is what leads to that type of stuff. But regardless, I guess point being, looking back at Simpson's performance and looking back at that Bama performance, again, that Florida State game, there could be a lot of time and beginning of season, end of season, looking at it being like, this team is totally different. And again, that's Simpson's first game as a starter. And there was a lot of up and down quarterback play that first week from a lot of guys with expectations. So you kind of just start lumping his name into the mix there as well, too, to just make the point of what's going on in the week. But, again, even if he can have kind of a get-going week as well, too, a learning curve type start to the season, again, there is obviously that opportunity that he's going to get better throughout the course of the year. And this Bama team's going to get better, and he's going to learn DeBoer's system as well. And you can see him getting more and more comfortable. And I guess immediately the next week, 17 for 17, 24 for 29, and, 24 for 38, 276, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks against Georgia is a pretty good stat line. I think he had a couple of interception balls in that game, but I guess, he's made it through 4 games without a pick at this point is still pretty impressive. So and again, because I had that conversation with somebody about the Heisman odds, and I guess we had been checking them here on the live stream, but we didn't check them last week maybe, and I guess I hadn't thought about it for a second. Oh, chat! The Chiefs, did they miss the extra point? I think the red zone's ahead of the live stream right now, so they're scoring a touchdown on the live stream, but they're just missing a field goal on the red zone, so I think it's still going to stay 26-10 here after they get done celebrating this play. But Thornton in the back of the end zone, and that's right over working his way right behind the linebacker. I don't know if the coverage secondary guy is just not able to get there in time, or if Thornton was just too fast as well. But Mahomes has been accurate today, chat. You can just see a different level of comfortability and confidence. I mean, he was playing with a sort of, and yeah, chat, just a crisp pass right over the middle of the field. And Hamilton's right a step behind him in coverage too. So, he's going to at least make for an accurate pass. He's going to not quite be in the spot to make a play on the football. Again, Thornton's a fast receiver, but Mahomes is looking like he could be back to, shocker, being back to just confident, regular season, comfortable Mahomes. I don't know if we do a stats check here and see if we're looking at like 5,000 yards for our guy Mahomes again, because he's not going to, and I guess I can't say he's not going to win the MVP this year. I don't think that even, again, we're talking to Sam, I don't think Chiefs fans are even, that's not even on their mind at this point. It's like Mahomes, but Mahomes' legacy is almost even past MVPs, because again, like Lamar and Josh Allen are winning these MVPs, it don't even matter. Mahomes just winning this playoff. So we know that there's bigger picture things here in play for this Chiefs things, the Mahomes legacy, all that type of stuff. But I guess just his name being and not say of value in that conversation, But yeah, I mean, we know, Chad. We've all heard our guy, shout out Simmons, but we've all heard our guy Bill Simmons talk about how the tiers had been a little bit different in terms of the quarterback rankings, and maybe Lamar, and it's as much a credit to Lamar and Allen for just them being insane right now as well too with how well they're playing. But is that in combination with, it's like, okay, well, Mahomes has been a little inconsistent here over the last couple, and maybe we're using nice words like that because it's Pat Mahomes as well too. I don't know, comparatively we start looking at his stats, but also there's other big offensive factors as well. So it's not even just Mahomes, him getting in the mix with the receivers. Like Thornton, again, I don't know, Thornton versus Tyreek Hill, obviously. If Thornton has a game like the AFC champ, or I guess divisional game against Buffalo, then at least from a legacy standpoint, playoff-wise, we can start talking about it. But game plan-wise, strategy-wise, you've got that threat. And I think, and we obviously there's been that dialogue over the last couple of years of like, oh, the Chiefs haven't had that vertical threat. That is true to some degree, but they have had a fast guy on the roster. Like they've still, they brought in MVS over the last couple of years. Like I don't know if we can go through the whole couple of guys. He's been, pause. That's crazy. But he's been one of the more, Chiefs names types guys that he gets associated with the team. MVS does. But yeah, the point being, they've at least had a guy on the roster. You're like, okay, we're trying to bring in some kind of down the field element, and it just wasn't quite producing the same type of thing. Like, you got to give Thornton his credit as well too for making these plays and for providing that kind of talent we thought that, that we were thinking that he had in the draft. Oh, Purdy with another interception, chat. Uh-oh. Wait a second. Did they put Mac Jones in the game, or is that actually Brock Purdy? What's happening, chat? Maybe Mac Jones is going to be in the game. Oh, the Jags defensive coordinators, they're hugging, chat. Oh, they're hugging. It's the third quarter. 6 minutes left in the third quarter. Shanahan's got Eli Manning face. It doesn't look good. I think Shanahan's probably pretty safe, but he might be looking at that Brock Purdy paycheck. I don't know. Did they just flash that up on the screen as well, too? They're like, $50 million. Hey, yo, chat. Right to the linebacker. You got a defensive lineman hand up there, maybe blocking some vision. Doesn't look like he gets a pass deflection there as well. But that one is definitely a little more on Purdy than we go back and watch the replay and double check what that first one was. Just now we have to, chat, to make sure that he already has. We're gonna take away his one interception. Like, well, it's not even Purdy's fault, but now he's got one that is fault. So we have to definitely make sure he's got two that are not his fault. Because that would be, now he's working his way into interesting quarterback territory there. But, his contract is one thing, but he is still a guy that's been good in the playoffs, and I think, still a guy that maybe around the league guys could still value in a certain way. And, I don't know, chat. I don't know. We'll have to see what the, I guess, the long-term thing is here for Purdy in San Francisco. You can't get too crazy after couple of plays, but looking at Ty Simpson, and I guess Ty Simpson is 2027 as well too. I mean, the 2027 class, we're already looking forward to it. Next year, it's loaded, it's stacked. This is the class. This is going to be the one that saves all these franchises. I'll put all our hope in 2027 because apparently 2026, it's not going to happen. But I guess point being for Heisman, I do think that Simpson is an interesting Heisman bet at this point, and I guess he's second now as well too, so tied for second in the odds. So it's not even interesting value. Plus 950 is not terrible, but the resurgence of the team, and again, that being the first game, I don't know if we necessarily put that game on Simpson as well too. Maybe as much as it was like DeBoer or whatever, some other sort of circumstantial type stuff. But there is some real narrative opportunity, I think, for him to be able to get back on track as a top name value guy. Or, again, not that he, I guess, knocked off a podium or anything like that, but he was definitely, again, there was some expectations there. I want to say he was a 5-star as well, too. So I don't know if DeBoer brings an extra level of quarterback expectation recruiting-wise as well, too. Wait, did Lamar just catch a pass? What just happened, Chad? Do my eyes deceive me? Hey, yo, wait a second. Okay, I'm thinking of, hey, yo, Rem's an old man today. Bateman is number 7. Lamar's number 8. Okay, we got, because they ran that play a couple weeks. We're waiting for that play again, Chad, where they run that pass to Lamar. We want to see, it is what it is, but we want to see the Travis Hunter. Let's see this man get stats all over the field. They ran that play on the goal line was it last week or 2 weeks ago where Henry could have thrown back across the field to Lamar, and he could have been one-on-one with the linebackers. Like, let's see Lamar juke this linebacker as a receiver. So now I just I just want to see them call the play. Ayo, are they gonna have a week where fans vote for the plays? Then we'll just try to be a Ravens fan for that week and see if we can get and then we're gonna try to sabotage the Ravens. Like, why'd you injure our quarterback? But maybe again, don't throw it if it's like he's double teamed. It's just one-on-one, right defender. I think enough space to be able to create afterwards. Or maybe slide if he feels like it's not going to quite go fully the right way. I think it could be interesting. So keep in mind, maybe Harbaugh, it's like, okay, week 4 is not the way to use that play. Maybe that's like playoff time versus Kansas City as well too. But the Colts now with the lead versus the Rams, it is 17-13 as the fourth quarter starts to get underway here. We got about 11 minutes left. Jones 27 for 20 on the day, 233. And again, the interception early. I mean, the man is human. Shout out to Daniel Jones. I know it's been questioned at this point in the year, but his ability to overcome positive plays like that as well. And there is that. Is the clock struck midnight, like the Daniel Jones season, going to sort of go back to what a normal Daniel Jones season is? And I think we do, like that Broncos game, it's a real defense. That Broncos defense has been good. They were still able to move the ball up and down the field against that team. That was still in that stretch where it's like they've scored on every possession here to start the year. They were still accomplishing that in the Broncos game. I think they might have gotten a couple turnovers on downs in that game. So, a little technicality, but regardless, I guess they didn't punt. So it is what it is. John Harbaugh takes the field goal, chat, 13-27. Uh-oh. Sam might be calling in, chat. Hey, yo, Chiefs fans are going to start going crazy after this game. This is the get back on the, real championship expectations type game here. But yeah, I guess shout out to Ty Simpson and shout out to Georgia as well. I think Alabama, it's a tough one for Georgia for their current, I guess, AP ranking. Are they a top 5 team in the nation? Again, Alabama could still, obviously, probably a playoff level team by the end of the year, and both these teams could, I guess, maybe not both of them in the mix. I don't know what the 12, it's a limited number at some point, but the level that those teams could be playing at by the end of the year could definitely be playoff level for sure. But it did feel like Alabama was a little bit the better team in this game. But, again, Gunnar Stockton has been pretty good for this team, and they were able, if Alabama is, again, that one team that is able to get Georgia's number, then, maybe it is more of a mental thing than it is just straight up, this team's totally better. Caden Proctor, 1 carry for 11 yards. Hey, yo, that might be the best play of his career, Chad. Shout out to Caden Proctor. Chauncey Bowens, 12 for 119 and a touchdown, was tearing up the field for him as well too. Bell, 1 for 43 on a crazy play, it looks like. And I guess Stockton making a couple of plays as well too on the ground. Ryan Williams, 5 for 43 as a receiving threat in this game. So, again, I think that it was starting to be like, is Georgia, are they a sneaky, best team in the nation type team? I was definitely starting to at least keep them in mind for the conversation. But now it does feel like, okay, whatever tier this Georgia-Bama tier is, then, it's sort of both those teams evening out. Not in a bad way. Again, it's still, like we're saying, in a playoff tier. But not quite either of these teams, I think, being A tier. But maybe it is both these teams are actually A tier teams. They're just really competitive. Maybe I'm just an idiot like that. But and maybe because, and the only reason the A tier could be just Ohio State by itself. It is what it is. They could just clearly be the best team in the nation. I think if we were being honest with ourselves, chat, that's probably the right answer. But since we have to put them aside in their own tier, let's just set them aside in the conversation. And I think Oregon, because Lanning and as a program, they haven't quite, again, with Lanning, maybe made it that national championship success yet. Because now again, Day is carrying his team as a national championship team, and yes, Sayan's not Will Howard and maybe there is a little bit of turnover, some defensive key pieces. Obviously there's going to be just changes everywhere. Oh, chat, the Chiefs special teams outside gets to the 50 on the return. The Chiefs are going to have good field position, and they could get to 30 here in the third quarter. Uh-oh. Chat. I mean, we were saying this is bad for the Ravens defense. I guess the Bills did put up 40 on them. So I don't know what the line is before the Chiefs fans start thinking that they're better than the Bills at this point. But the fact that now they've just, again, I guess on a special teams play, maybe more so than an offensive play. We'll see if this just results in a field goal here as well. But the fact they've kind of just been this overly consistent, because the Ravens, while they can get picked on for sure, like there's still athletes there. You're going to make a stop or two throughout the course of the game. Like, I'm not saying they're going to be a great defense, but them making a play is definitely, very possible. But the Chiefs have just played. This has been definitely the smartest football, most consistent, efficient, whatever football that they've had through 4 games. At home as well too. You get a couple of these good matchups. You get the Eagles and the Ravens at home is definitely a favorable part of that matchup for sure. Tough matchups, but at least you do get a good advantage. And the Jags, chat, on the punt return. Up the middle. The punter's got the chase down. He's not going to get him. Oh, the Jags special team scores. It's Parker Washington. The best receiver on the Jags, chat. Parker Washington. So Jacksonville about to go up 27 if they make the field goal, 27-14 versus the 49ers. The Chiefs up 27-13 versus the Ravens. So I don't know if the Jags are on the same level as the Chiefs, but maybe, again, that speaks more to where the Niners could be heading for this course of the season. Because what is the stat is, if they make the playoffs, they either make the conference championship or they don't make the playoffs. And we were kind of eyeing this team as in chat, the punter tried to size up Parker Washington. He tried to get him from a dead stop and chase him down. You just gotta run at him full speed, a good angle, and just decide how you want to approach your tackle. You're gonna go wrap up, or you're gonna try to go McAfee and just see if you can go lower his shoulder, see if you can take him out. Oh, Jacksonville, Liam Cohen going for 2, chat. See if we can make this a full 2-touchdown game. Good football math. 28-24. Trevor Lawrence a little too high, unfortunately. The pass, maybe not Trevor Lawrence, the state, but Trevor Lawrence, the pass that time was a little bit too high over the receiver. So they are starting to look like they are going to take care of that game comfortably, Chad. Hey, yo, it turns out Bears-Raiders is going to be the competitive game. It is what it is. Caleb Williams just having to avoid Max Crosby means this game. Caleb Williams having to avoid Max Crosby, and Geno Smith having to avoid throwing picks. And this game is going to be competitive based on just those teams trying to not make bad plays. But I guess we're probably done with this Alabama-Georgia game here. 7 minutes left in the Colts game, chat. We need to find a way. We're going to fight off the feds and see if we can revive Stream East to watch this game. I don't know if there's still a way, chat. I mean, obviously we wouldn't know. We wouldn't know anything about that. But if there was, we may have to find a way to get the end of this Colts-Rams game on. In the background, Stafford. Again, I don't know if MVP is on the table for Stafford. Hey, maybe after week 1 with the good performance, it's ooh, Stafford could have a fun year. But for him being a guy that we trust in the playoffs, still definitely something that good regular season is going to continue to give us that confidence, just because of again where he's kind of at this point in his career. But Daniel Jones, chat, could be out dueling him, and I don't know if it's a belt game from a quarterback standpoint. Does Daniel Jones take the belt as a better quarterback than Matthew Stafford right now if he wins this game? I guess Stafford, no picks on the stat sheet, but I don't know if he's thrown as many interception balls. I mean, that one's close, chat. Hey, yo, that one is just Stafford's arm strength gets that pass to go. The defender's not quite able to get a hand on it, but there is a flag. Holding offense. It's going back, chat. Rams offense better take a hike. start moving backwards. The Chiefs offense, once again in scoring territory. So assuming Butker's able to get a short field goal to go here. Hey, yo, Chet, speaking of being in the kitchen, Butker's not been cooking this year. Hey, yo. Butker has definitely been, special teams have been good for this team. Butker's been a little bit of a weak spot for him this year. So I don't know if we trust him at this point. 27-13, we might just be going for it in the goal-to-go situations here. So if he's able to convert a short field goal if need be, then they could get to 30. But definitely the best performance by the Chiefs offense so far in the season, and the Ravens defense is going to have to do some looking inside, because we were saying going into this game, one of these teams is going to be 1-3, and the Ravens being 1-3, they could battle back and win a bunch of games and get that record back into good shape. But you're 1-3 against the start of a season where you have an opportunity to prove yourself, establish yourself, get some swagger against some of these good teams, and you're gonna lose a game to the Bills that you should have made a couple of good plays and probably won that one. You're going to Chet, Mahomes just ran in front of the line of scrimmage, then ran back behind the line of scrimmage. So yeah, are they gonna throw a flag on that? You have to, Chet. The refs, I feel like, for once, you gotta not take the side of Mahomes here. And actually, we all saw it. The blue line is painted on the field. I don't know if there is, what's the rule book in terms of, he did release the pass behind the line of scrimmage, but he was definitely running in front of it before he went back across as well. And the pass wasn't complete, so it's not like it matters necessarily. But for making it third and 14, third and 19, still probably just makes it to where they're going to be running, trying not to avoid a turnover and just setting up that field goal. So it will be the Butker attempt that we were talking about. Speaking of butt, Chat, Harrison Butker's field goal kicking this year. Okay, I think we're Chiefs, Ravens, we'll see. Yeah, illegal forward pass. Shout out Mahomes. But and Bears Raiders is the other game too. We got to keep an eye on. I guess here, Caleb Williams stat check. We got to look. Third quarter, we got a good chunk of the game out of the way. We'll see where he's trending at this point. 15 for 18, 152, a touchdown and interception. I think a win would be as crucial as good stats. The screen to Smith-Schuster, I don't know if he's going to be able to get 19 yards after the catch, but he'll at least, set up a closer field goal and hopefully not fumble. As well, 2nd and 10, Purdy floating over the middle of the field again. Oh, Chat, a hospital ball. Oh, wait, was that a highlight? Rerun? Hey, the quick cut to the next play. Yeah, okay. And then right to a fumble as well. So I guess the Jags defense being athletic. Oh, wait, they're just catching us up, I think, on that Niners drive. Purdy, the aggression, you love it. It doesn't slow down, Chat. The attacking mentality in running whatever Shanahan is calling has still not let up, even though, and I guess, being down in the game as well, too. You're going to have to get a little bit more, you have to try to stay aggressive with your play calling as well. But he's not relying on Purdy to connect on some of these throws. So 2nd and 13, 20-yard line, Rams just now sitting at the red zone. Stafford, the screen to no one. Adams thought he was supposed to block. I guess everybody thought they were supposed to block there because Stafford just threw it into the dirt. I don't know if Stafford had time to register, like, wait a second, nobody is here to receive this pass. I think Stafford might have thrown it to the wrong side. I think did Stafford run the wrong play? I think they just set up a running back screen and Stafford threw a wide receiver screen to Adams. Unless it was a fake running back screen, wide receiver screen, but I'm pretty sure Stafford just stared down Adams as well. So fake running back screen, at least you get a head turn commit from Stafford. So they just run the same play to Puka. Oh, Chat. Oh, Devonta Adams. That one's got to hurt, Chat. And, I feel like, I guess I was going to say, more often than not, guys in the media will say, like, it's on the receivers. A lot of the guys in the media are quarterbacks. So they'll be like, receivers just always run the wrong route. So that's why quarterbacks throw picks. But I don't know if that one's more on Adams or or Stafford there. Again, we got sound off, so that would have been good. You know, who's announcing that game? Spiro Deebs, could he tell us what's going on that play? 4th and 2, the Rams are going for it. 3.5 minutes left in the third quarter. You need a touchdown to tie, so 2 field goals doesn't do you any good. You're going to need to get in the end zone anyways. The slant, and it's Nakua again. It's speaking of getting to the end zone. Oh, now we just have to worry about them going for 2. Extra point ties the game, 19-20, just based on the touchdown. But do they try? I guess that would be, going for the win and then trusting your defense to get a stop. If McVay kicks the field goal here, is that respect for Danny Dimes? I guess either way, he's going to be fearful of him going down the field and scoring, because a field goal alone is going to be, that's going to be killer if they run enough of the clock, just based on what the score is. So, yeah, they're going to take the tie and just hope that 3 timeouts, if they need to take a quick drive on the other side. Because if you hold them to a field goal, you can take a field goal yourselves. I guess game tied at this point. A touchdown on the other end would be the killer thing as well. If you were able to get the ball back with enough time after a touchdown, unless we go for 2, then you could at least still tie with some kind of crazy drive. So Daniel Jones, chat, with a chance to have a game-winning drive, an MVP-type moment. He's taken down the Broncos. He's taken down the Rams. Do we have to live bet Daniel Jones for MVP? We were talking. I'm going to throw the jinx at him right now, so probably not. But we were talking about JT, and let's double-check here and see what his numbers have been like for today. I feel like they haven't cut to him enough on the red zone. 14 for 63. So it's really been the carries as well, too. 28 compared to the 40 passes. The Rams have definitely just ran more plays. We have some team stats here that we can look at. Hey, yo. We just get like a plays number here. Oh, wait a second. Team stats tab. Here we go. Let's see what we have listed. Only 13 first downs for Indy for the game. Yeah, they've run almost 20 more plays. 65 to 47, 365 total yards to 295. So assuming this drive just doesn't go disastrously, then we should be able to get, obviously cross the 300-yard threshold, but still be able to have a good overall, numbers day and at least keep a sense of this offense is still cooking in a way. Oh, Chad, so Mitchell I guess it goes down as a fumble, so he does get to keep the stats on that reception. Yeah, it does go as a fumble. So he has the yards anyways, 2 for 84, but then you do lose like 2 points on a fumble in fantasy, so that's, pretty detrimental for even a good play like that. Still, plus points. But if that's your one attempt for the day as well, too, that's a 10-point game. Now, even bump back 2 points, just the mental visual of that is tough. Puka, 13 for 170 and a touchdown. Yeah, Puka might have 2,000 yards this year, chat. I don't know if the math is going to work. I don't know if Puka's going to stay healthy enough to get 2,000 yards, but he is a guy that is definitely, in Cup, of course, the capability was definitely there with the season that he was having. It's not like he was unable to get those last couple of, stats that he needed. Just, I guess they ran out of time. I don't know. But Puka's ability to just get fed in these games is maybe just a little bit more. And I don't know if they trust him a little more on the, we'd have to go back and remember all the stuff that, can we just go back and see Cooper Kupp's season real quick? The game log of the season to see how that flowed. Pause. Hey, yo. Over the course. The stats flow, chat. Hey, yo. Whoa. What are we talking about? Just Cooper Kupp's casual little Triple Crown season from back in the day. 1947. So, again, per game, he's basically right there. It's just a couple of yards per game. And he will be right on the 2,000-yard pace. I think it is 116 something per game here, Chad. Hey, yo. Rem can't do math again. Let's see what we have got. Oh, we don't want to delete the calculator app. We just want to, we actually need it right now. Pause. So if he plays, it's basically 117.65, 117.7, you'll clear it easily, chat, But here, if you go 117.7 times 17, 2,009 yards. So yeah, 2,001 or 2,000.9 yards. So 2,001 yards if you average 117.7 yards per game for a 17-game season. Oh, excuse me, Chad. So if you go 118 times 16, oh, Chad, even 118 times 16. I mean, maybe the math should be obvious there, but here, if it's 2,000 and we're just giving him at least one game rest. Oh, times 16. Hey, yo, different stats, chat. We would be at 125. Hey, yo. So he needs to be at 125 yards a game if he goes 16 games played to get the 2,000-yard mark, or 117.7 per game if he's going to go at the 18-yard or 17. But I guess for Cup season here, 108, 163. He had a 3-week stretch here where he did go 96, 64, and 92 yards. So Rem can't do math, but if he's 50-some yards off, I feel like he could get that pretty close for one of these games here if he just goes super crazy. I mean, I don't know if Puka's had this exact stat line early on. Let's see how he's tracking so far. I guess we could just look at per games. And again, he was second as well going into the day. But I guess CeeDee Lamb would have been first. He got hurt during the game. Oh, JSN was first. But I guess JSN played Thursday. So were they talking about the fact that he played Thursday? Puka is less than 100 yards behind him. So Puka will be number one after today. How many yards did Pearsall have? Pearsall at number 3 going into the day. I guess he may not quite break up to number 2, but Malik Neighbors, unfortunately, this will be the high watermark of his season in terms of where he plays in the stats. But from here, we got Nakua. We're just going to look at, I guess, how his 3 games have played out. And again, he does lead the league in receptions as well, too. So at least a couple more looks than JSN, but both those guys are going to be heavy target guys over the course of the year. Last year, Puka, 119, 147, and 72, 163, 71, 26. And then, the second half of the season was not quite the same. He had a 26, a 43, a 32, a 27, a 50, a 41. So that's back in 2023. But that was, I guess, his last full season as well, too. Oh, we got career game logs here. So 130, 91, and 112. Yeah, Chad, that's looking like a pretty scary 3-game pace. Let's see where he's at here. 111, a little bit off. So this 170, and if he continues to add, I mean, hopefully not. But let's see where we're going to be at here after 4 games. After 4 games, if he stays at the 170 mark, chat, he will be at 125.7 yards per game. So that will put him on pace. I mean, I guess it's probably going to be top 3 highest yards he gets as well, too. He's got 13 receptions. I mean, this is crazy. Again, he's cooking us right now. But at least we're in a spot where we can run a lot of the clock and make this a tough last drive for him. Daniel Jones on a 2nd and 15. He swarmed. The Rams pass rush caused a fumble. Oh, no, Chet. Did the Colts offensive line get back on top of it? I think Verse was in the mix. He is credited for the sack, and he's got the thumb wrapped, or I guess I'm just credited for the sack, but he was there. He got the thumb taped up, and, he is the one that got the fumble, so he is responsible. But it looked like as well, too, he may have injured it, ran up the field a little bit. Maybe a little tweak to the thumb as well. So I guess I didn't even check the recovery there. Hopefully the Colts did get it as well. It didn't seem like Daniel Jones was walking off the field in disgust. So that's a good thing. But Caleb Williams driving now, 4th quarter underway, 16-21 as they are losing. And again, they need probably just to continue that victory momentum even more so after that Cowboys game, more than just having a good stats performance, because Caleb Williams does need to have those good stats to help restore the confidence or, gain the confidence of the Bears fans as well too. But just having even an ugly kind of 4th quarter victory in contrast to a good, a better stats game, a much cleaner game, a big performance in the last game versus the Bears or versus the Cowboys, it would be a good, kind of full spectrum situation for, now Caleb Williams can win in different types of scenarios. And again, maybe we would need to look for him to like have a cleaner performance against a good team if we're really starting to check all the levels of, what we're demanding, I guess, of our great quarterbacks. And Crosby with another deflection chat. This time Caleb Williams has to try to go in and almost make the catch, slash try to bat it down as well too. But Crosby, I mean, Garrett in that Bengals game, I think was up there, in the competition. Oh, Chet, 3rd and 5, bad snap. Caleb Williams has to fall on it, and it's gonna go from potential touchdown to long field goal, as they're gonna be setting up from like the 38-yard line. Hey, yo, Chet, a chance to still cut into the lead and make it a field goal game after this. A field goal make here still does matter. There's a good chance that, maybe Caleb Williams doesn't get the 3rd and 5 and you're kicking a shorter field goal. Same result, you still walk away and go, we're still in this. So you still have to pick your head up and think of this as a successful drive if you make this field goal. But it goes back to 51 yards. Santos, he better make it. Oh, Chet, luckily it's right on the money. Luckily it's straight down the middle. So that sigh of relief, your guys locked in. He gets to go. Tough play. Caleb Williams mentally blaming on the center and just, keep it going. I don't know. But, again, that score still does matter. They can still get a stop here and go back down and even get just another field goal and still win the game. And that, again, is good for, in some ways, I think, Bears fans to at least have not a negative performance, negative sort of reaction to the game and the performance after having what is been up until this point his best performance of his career just immediately the week afterwards, in trying to reset some of those hopefully forward progressing expectations that we have from him as well. And Purdy hits an open guy on the sideline. Is that another catch up montage here from red zone? It looked like that throw was going to be just lofted a little bit off, like Purdy just missed him, but he hits a guy on the screen for the 21-yard touchdown as well too. So they bring that game to a 1-score game. There's like 8 minutes left in the fourth. I guess we can double check here. Chad, what do we got? Oh, third quarter. Wait a second. Are we up to date? We're not even in the fourth quarter yet? Oh, here we go. Yeah, okay. 7:41 left in the fourth quarter, I was about to say. But regardless, still enough time for them to get the ball back and definitely go down and score. A touchdown wins at this point as well too. So you have plenty of time to even, again, make a full drive. Uh-oh, chat. Hollywood Brown is doing a touchdown dance. I think the Chiefs just scored again. 36! So I think the Chiefs just reclaimed status as a top AFC tier team. And, football math, again, that Chargers game, week 1 in Brazil, I think I'm going to contradict myself. Like, for the Chiefs, we can't take that game importantly, but for the Chargers, we can. I don't know if that works, but I think there is a value both ways to say that the Chargers showed up in a real prepared. They executed really well on the international stage, on the travel, going into the season. They really, chat, Stafford, Tutu Atwell. Is this the longest play of the year? Did Henry have like a 90-yard run at some point? Hey, yo, chat. I think they just scored from like 80, 90. I guess we have to do our due diligence and check. But, chat, is self-destructing tendencies here. I don't know why we would even look this up just to cause ourselves pain. But, 88! Oh, chat. That's not good. Hey, yo, what do we saw? Jalen Warren had a 65-yarder. Oh, chat, Wiggins. Nate Wiggins for the Ravens is being carted off the field. They're holding the forearm right now. And, I mean, it's, with the way they're holding it, I think we all know what's going on there. That's probably a little broken arm situation. But he's looking like one of the friends we had recently just that fell off the scooter. Hey, yo, Chad, I've seen somebody hold their arm like that. It was like, okay, that arm might need to get looked at. They carted him off the field. I don't know if our friend scootering over to the hospital counts as being carted off the field. But we've seen that recently, so I think of easy diagnosis there. Unfortunately, that is not going to be, that'll be a cast for our guy, Nate Wiggins. But I don't even want to do the research, chat. 88, that's definitely the biggest play of the year so far in the NFL, probably just in general. So shout out to the Rams. If anything, they give us a minute 33 to try to work with here, Daniel Jones, to make this play, or make this drive and try to tie this game up. But that's killer. Stafford, this is... I called it a belt game, chat, and I do think, again, it is a little bit... I'm obviously going to continue to trust Stafford after this game. I'm not going to be like, oh, well, we're writing Stafford off because he lost to our team. But, again, for Daniel Jones to at least continue to ascend in the quarterback rankings, the confidence rankings, this would have been a good performance for him to outmatch a guy that we think is a little bit on a different level. In 13-37, 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter, chat. The Chiefs have got him to play Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush is in the game, chat. Hey, yo. Fourth quarter down 24. The Ravens don't even want to take a drive to see 3.5 scores, chat. You don't even want to, cause, agent of chaos, nothing. We're not one more. Game 4, Lamar, you're probably going to hope that these teams, just these two, but, them versus the Bills, them versus, I guess, the Lions would be the Super Bowl. But, you'd hope all those teams would be in the mix competing against each other at the end of the year. But, hey, yo, chat, waving the white flag, 13 minutes left in the third quarter. Still, the win probability. Did the advanced analytics just go Cooper Rush, chat? Hey, yo. He said, should I go for it on fourth down? They said, no, you should put in your backup quarterback on the next drive. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, I guess, Cooper Rush, get to warming up. Oh, 4th and 3, Zay Flowers drops the pass. And on third down before that, Chris Jones just went into the pocket and just destroyed Cooper Rush. Cooper Flag. I'm going to call him Cooper Flag like 5 more times tonight. It is what it is. Shout out to the new Ravens quarterback, Cooper Flag. Hey, yo, they might be, I guess, if they wouldn't need a starter. That's the thing. Shout out to Lamar, of course. But I don't know if Cooper Flag wants to be a backup in the NFL for some reason versus if the Mavs experiment goes super wrong, he has to pull an Elway and be like, well, I'm going to go play in the NFL unless the Mavs trade me. And they're like, go for it. He's like, okay, I'll be the Ravens backup and just take the Cooper Rush spot. But, Cooper Rush, the first down, chat. Hey, yo, Cooper Rush, I don't know. You're running the offense looking pretty good. Okay, I think we got to go watch this Colts-Rams game over here. A minute left. They're cutting to Adonai Mitchell. Did he fumble again? Hopefully not. I think it says 1st and 10 Colts, so it's still looking like the drive and the hope is alive here. Jags 3rd and 1, 6 minutes left, about midfield. So a field goal here would make it a 2-score game. The tush push. Oh, chat, the ref. I've never seen the ref walk forward with the play like that. The ref started to blow the play dead, pause, and whoa. And the ref started to call the play dead. And he was walking out, in the straight line to mark the spot of the ball. And the tush push kept going. So he walked about a half a yard angled forward as that play was going on. So I don't know what the principle is there, Chad. If you call the play and you start walking, you got to walk in a straight line just because that's when you call the play? Or do they get to have a little... I feel like they picked up that first down afterwards. He may have been aligning with the other ref. The ref walking from the bottom of the screen to the first down. To that starting point, that angle. I don't know if they were aligned there to begin with. But big first down that keeps the drive alive and now starts to put him into field goal territory as well, too. Which would, I guess, make it only an 8-point game. It is 21-26. So field goal would still, 2-point conversion, at least, not necessarily end all hope. You still have a little bit of drive left. But now 4.5 minutes, time does start to be a little bit of a concern. Daniel Jones airing it out. Oh, Chad, did you just throw another pick? Oh, no, Chad. Another deep ball from our guy, Daniel Jones. He's been so good in that aspect this year. And it's Cam Curl again. It's the same type of interception that he had the last time, just the opposite, flying across the opposite direction of the field. Last time he was going center to right. and this time now he's going center to left. Cam Curl's a good safety as well. Cam Curl, our favorite Cam safety, Chad. Obviously, Cam Bynum's been great for the Colts, but Cam Curl's been good at a lot of his stops too as well. So if we can get the combo, the Cam Curl Cam Bynum combo for the Colts at some point, that'd be a good move. Honestly, maybe big picture again, because Daniel Jones, we like him now in Indianapolis. We got the nicknames and all different stuff. I don't think we still think he's a long-term option, but if he is going to at least provide us a good season and help us scout good defenders in the future like Cam Curl, it's like, hey, Cam Curl's in free agency. Remember the time he had 2 interceptions against us? Let's sign him. I'd be like, hey, you know what? Maybe that game in the big picture was actually worth it. Knowing that, maybe 3-0 is a good start to the season. We're going to lose a game eventually. Losing one to the Rams. Like, if this was college, losing one to the Rams, you're like, okay, you're not going to get knocked down in the polls too much. We'd probably go from like, was Indy like 6 in the power rankings this week to now, we might be like 12, 13, back more and more to the middle of the league, but still, again, competitive playoffs, all, in the upper end of the middle tier of the league. And the Raiders now, to respond to the field goal that the Bears just had, make it 24-19. So a stop there would have been nice to help a field goal at least get the win. But a Caleb Williams touchdown, now the pressure is a little bit, again, on the quarterback and the offense to actually get the drive here versus just, especially now with the kickoff, I don't even know how much pressure is on these offenses. The defenses are good. The ability to step up and get a stop in these moments, of course, is definitely still there. But just the amount that you, of course, have to go to set yourself up in field goal range, if you just take a touchback and take a clean kickoff, it's just not that much anymore. So it is, of course, still pressure to have the drive, but I don't know if it is pressure on the quarterback in the same way. So 3rd and 11 here, long field goal attempt from the Jazz. Lawrence, the Jazz, the Jags, the Utah Jaguars. I don't know what the right team is here, but the Utah Jaguars. Chad, is that a show out there? The real Cougars of Utah? What's the team that we're talking about? I'm not Salt Lake Cougars? I don't know. But the Lawrence not quite able to pick up the first down here on this attempt. I don't know if you go for it on 4th down. You kind of have to, I think, take the field goal because of the fact that 2-point conversion is going to be a factor as well, too. I mean, anytime you can push it into the touchdowns territory, of course, that is going to have to be probably a necessary thing. But 4th and 4, 3.5, and it doesn't necessarily guarantee you get this first down that you run the clock out or get a touchdown as well, too. So I guess kind of sit in the middle. We're getting a little too aggressive here, chat. Hey, yo, we don't have the advanced analytics right queued up for us, so we got to run our own advanced analytics and just think of the scenarios of what could happen. Hopefully, we don't think of them like Brian Callahan. It's just like, oh, wait a second. We only got 30 seconds to think of scenarios here. I was on scenario 5 of 8. Like, give me a second. Can we call a timeout? Oh, Chad! And maybe that's why you think about going for it, because you missed the field goal as well. The Texans had a scenario like that in the first half of the game, and they ended up winning comfortably as well, too. So here, let's go to another AFC South team that had a okay day because, unfortunately, now we have to mourn the first Colts loss of the season. And it is a bummer that, again, Jones had a couple of picks on a couple of similar type passes. The tendencies interceptions are the tougher one. It's like, okay, now maybe we start to get a little bit exposed here. Hopefully, again, some of the extra built-up hype from where we were at in the preseason is not immediately started to be torn down here over the next couple of weeks. Chat, where'd the Titans... Oh, here we go. Titans-Texans. Should probably actually start looking for it instead of just being sad about this game. But yeah, it ended up being 26-0. So I guess 24th quarter points as well. They were definitely able to step on the gas late and pull away. But yeah, early on, this game was close. It looked like the same old Texans offense. I guess even Stroud, 22 for 28, 223, and 2 touchdowns, does look pretty good. But a couple of sacks. He had one early on where he was like pump faking to a check down and then took the sack, but could have even still like thrown it away. Like he was pump faking to the check down and the and the running back was covered by the linebacker, so he decided against it. But he still could have thrown it at the feet of the running back instead of taking the sack, because it became even third and longer at that point. And now even a more difficult situation. So those are one of those things where it's like, oh, Texans offensive line, it definitely is bad. You don't want your quarterback to be like, oh, well, your quarterback has to throw it away. But also just to, go for the strat element of it as well, too. There's definitely some opportunities to at least help what is happening and stop the bleeding, I guess. And to at least maybe put yourself, if you're going to be in bad, tough situations, you can't set yourself up even worse with some plays like that at times. But they did have a drive where they had a chance to, I think it was 6-0 at that point. So they could have made it 9-0, could have made it 2 touchdowns, or could have gone for it and near the end of the half and continued to, push the lead at that point, get some momentum as an offense. And they went to make the field goal, and Fairbairn's been good this year as well too. So the announcer, laid it out very well. I forget who was on the call at that point for the analyst role, but he laid it out really well, and was also like, yeah, Fairbairn's just a really great kicker as well too. Like, you got to give Fairbairn a chance to go out there and make this kick, and that's honestly what jinxed it, because then he went out and missed it. So I was like, as the announcer was laying it out, I was like, yeah, we've said it before in the last year, Fairbairn's a good kicker, so I against the Titans offense as well too. Like, I'll just take field goals. I don't even need to, you don't even need to have analytics against the Titans and go, oh, do we need to be thinking correctly? They just go, oh, it's the Titans. The analytics just say take field goals. Okay, we're good to go. So, yeah, taking the 3 points there is fine. But again, just Fairbairn has been reliable. So his miss was definitely a little surprising. But, ultimately, again, that situation doesn't really bear out to matter. So I guess we got to focus on this Bears-Raiders game here, Chad, because Caleb Williams is driving. He's already crossed midfield. Hey, once we start watching, hopefully we didn't just throw the jinx at him now, but the back pedal, he's got time. He checks it down to Swift. Swift makes a little move. Doesn't quite pick up the first down, but 2nd and short is still obviously a great spot to be in. 2nd and 11 for the Jags. Oh, wait a second, chat. Was there a penalty? What happened? Do we have to go back to that game? How did they get the ball back? Uh-oh. We got to update the score real quick, chat. 2:42 left in this game. All plays. Current drive winning. Fumble! Oh, no, chat. Purdy short pass left 13 yards. Purdy sacked. Armstead fumbles. Armstead forces the fumble. Aluakon recovers. Uh-oh. Hamilton injured on the play for Jacksonville. Hopefully he's okay. But the defense, once again, makes a game-stopping play for Jacksonville. And it looks like the Niners are out of timeouts. 3rd and 5! 3rd and 5 on this side of the 2-minute warning. If they had gotten that stop, they could have gotten the ball back and maybe been in that 8-point spot again. But unfortunately now the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be able to run out the clock. And 3-1, chat. 3-1. The Colts lose now against the Rams. I guess the AFC South, NFC West battle today. But now those two teams are atop the AFC South still record-wise. And the Jags, hanging around, putting some wins on the board here. I don't know if I'm watching this team again, be like, am I scared of the Jags' bigger picture? Like, I guess because of the divisional aspect of it, if we were to, face this team in a playoff game, that would be scary for sure, just because of the familiarity there as well. I don't know if I'd be scared of this team also going on to winning the Super Bowl and then making us feel bad that another AFC South team is having success. But I do think that they, of course, would play us well. But I still would say that we're the better team. But record-wise, and with them having a little bit of an easier schedule this year as well, too, I think, they maybe could end up with the better regular season record, potentially stealing a division. Who knows? But we're still going to give the Colts a little bit of the benefit of the doubt going forward. And on the road in LA, again, it was still pretty encouraging, the performance overall. Maybe Steichen's able to help clean up some of the deep ball stuff from Daniel Jones and get that going. Because on that last one, I feel like, I don't know, Daniel Jones does have good arm strength, I think. So I feel he could have got that one out over the top of the defense. And led the receiver in stride a little bit more, but he did hang both of those passes up in the air, and again, Curl was able to kind of undercut both of them and caught both of them in front of the receiver. So I don't know if that's a timing thing where he's throwing on the brakes too late, and then the receiver is, he's throwing to the receiver and not the spot, and not being anticipatory enough, and then underthrowing the receiver that way, or if he again just doesn't necessarily have the verticality on the throws to be able to lead the receivers in the right way. And then that would be a timing thing to maybe adjust it so the vertical stuff is a little bit shorter as well too. Ooh, and there's a replay on the Niners Jags fumble as well, and that's a cutaway in the Chiefs Ravens game as well. So not a red zone scenario. I mean, that is the red zone inception that happens there sometimes is the best, when the red zone will cut to the game, of course, and then the game cuts away to another game as well too. So you get like a game update within a game update is the best. If there's ever a time where we can get the rights to cut away to red zone, and then we cut away to red zone, and the game that red zone is at also cuts away to a game, then that would be the best for sure. That'd be the next level of inception. YouTube to red zone to the actual NFL. Just another layer added into the mix in 2025. So I think 2nd and 12, again, Rem can't do math, but I think the Jags are going to be in a pretty good spot to run this out. And I guess either way, I guess they're kneeling at this point as well. So we assume field goal, at least. I don't know, you start going kneels now, or do you at least try to score a touchdown? If you're not going to run the clock out, I don't know if you just keep playing and see if you can keep the drive alive, or if you just pack it up and, kick a long 40, short 50-yard field goal. I still would think maybe a little bit of a drive at this point. But, again, Rem can't do math, so 3:40 plays, I don't know. But the Bears, 2 minutes left on the Raiders' 13-yard line. I guess we should go over to that game, because that is the last game left, I guess, competitively, because not only is Cooper Rush in the game, but Gardner Minshew is in the game, Chad. Oh, man, who would have thought it? Who would have thought we would have been seeing this game? This is honestly too depressing, because there is, I guess, either way, like the Ravens could be, we could flip this the other way, and the Ravens could be up 37-13, and then both backups could be in that way. It's the discrepancy in the score at this point in the game that the backups are in, but that's the problem. The problem is these are two good teams, two good high-level quarterbacks, two all-time guys, and we want to see a competitive last-minute battle. I don't want to be watching the fourth quarter and just the sort of mind trick that this is as well too. Like these teams are established. The Ravens are established under this run with Lamar. The Chiefs are established under this run with Mahomes. So just to see a game, it's like, wait a second, Cooper Rush and Gardner Minshew. Like, what am I watching here? What's this fourth quarter? What is happening? And I know the circumstances, but still a little bit trippy that both backups are in, because I think that again hasn't happened in really any of these high-level matchup games as well. Or was there ever like a Manning Brady game where after it was like the fourth quarter, it's like Jim Sorgi versus Ryan Mallett? It's like, oh, Brady's just. I guess there was a playoff game where they did smoke. It was pretty good in the early 2000s for sure, but I don't think Manning sat in that game. And if he did, it wouldn't have been crazy long here. Pause. I don't know if we have to go relive some old trauma, but that would have been before we were kind of forming football memories, so it would have been a little, it is not as painful for us to go back and look at some of those earlier 2000s Colts losses to the Patriots. There will be ones, though, that do have, of course, painful memories associated with them. 21-38, I mean, of course, competitive. It is just regular season as well, too. I guess we're not necessarily looking at the playoffs here. Regular season 2001, 17-38, they lost. He went 335 and a touchdown, no picks. So not a terrible just on the front stat line game for him. But, the result is what it was. Didn't play in 02, so 2001, I don't know if the Manning Brady thing would establish quite yet. Were they even playing in this game? This could have been like a Bledsoe Manning game as well, too. Let's see. Brady was playing. Brady 16 for 20, 202, and 3 touchdowns. Ayo. 148.3 rating. Manning a 106.9 rating. So what was the talk going into this game? Was Manning talking something crazy? Like Brady just had a vendetta against Manning the entire time? And Edgerrin James ran the ball 30 times for 143. How did we run 70 offensive plays in this game and score 17 points? And the Patriots scored 21? What happened? 91-yard pass, 61-yard pass, 2-yard pass, 2-yard pass from Peyton Manning, and then a 6-yard pass from Tom Brady. So Tom Brady, of course, going crazy. But, yeah, the Patriots were still, of course, forming that point. The rivalry was still not quite the same. So it was still in the infancy, I guess, at that time. So they did win 05 regular season. And how we got to win here, 40-21, but also a decisive score as well. Colts 8-0, the Patriots 4-4. Definitely the better team, and it's a good thing that at least for once the Patriots didn't upset us. Brady, of course, was still really good in this game. I guess better quarterback rating because Peyton does have the one pick. I mean, he's going to have one. Edgerrin James, 34 carries for 101 yards. Hey, yo, Harrison and Wayne also going crazy as well, too. I guess Doug Flutie did see some snaps in this game, chat. Doug Flutie did go 3 for 7 for 20. But, again, we didn't have the Colts backup play in that game as well. So it would have still been a little, there would have still been some sort of normalcy there at that point. Lost 21-31, lost 33-39, 134-24, and now we're moving into 14-15. I think Osweiler was the 15 matchup that year, and that was part of the reason that, the controversy wasn't the way it was. Oh, chat, the Bears scored. I didn't even realize. Hey, yo, and they're going for 2. Caleb Williams in the back of the end zone's picked off on the 2-point attempt. So I don't think they're going to be able to run that back and take the lead. But 25-24, 134 left. The Raiders can at least kick a field goal here and win the game if Geno doesn't throw another interception. But shout out to Caleb Williams for at least getting his team down the field, chat. We talked, hey, can he get, if he has to get a grimy win, at least a grimy win's a grimy win. So, chat, sometimes if you have a 6 is a 6, it is what it is. Sometimes you just got to take the win that's available to you. And today, the win that's available to Caleb Williams is maybe it's not a 10 out of 10. But you got it's what is Sunday, I guess, is going to be spent doing the Raiders, chat. Hey, yo, it is what it is. So, it's not like Caleb Williams also has to bring his best performance. I mean, clearly, he brought his best performance against, I don't know if the Cowboys are a 10 out of 10, on the surface, maybe. I don't know. This year, it's more like, I guess, it's like, well, I don't know. What's the right way to say it about the Cowboys? Because they're sort of a 10 out of 10, again, like, stage. People are watching that game. It's going to be notable if you play well against them. But it's not, obviously, a great team. So, like, 10 out of 10, but not great hang? I don't know, Chad. Again, what are the Cowboys in terms of, on a hotness scale? I don't know what's the correct way to rate them. But, regardless, again, Caleb Williams needed to spit a little game against the Cowboys, and he definitely did it. But he spit a little less game against the Raiders, just enough, Chad, the Milton Burrow. I guess for the scenarios where, I guess, normal guys, Chad, the Milton Burrow is only a thing of dreams. But let's see here. What were we even looking at, Chad? Milton Burrow. I guess probably not on the live stream here. But do we have photo evidence of Milton Burrow, chat? Hey, yo, they're talking so much talk out here that we might have to. I don't know, but yeah, shout out to the backup quarterbacks playing in this game. So we got to the Chiefs-Ravens game, which, again, for some reason we're still focusing on at this point over a game that's actually competitive, and the Raiders are making a game-winning drive. Brock Bowers running out of bounds, and they only need a field goal as well, too, so they've now crossed the half field line. And again, you run 2 plays in the with the new field position, and you are right there in scoring territory. And Daniel Carlson, not bad as well, too. So field goal target line they got set just across the, the 35, going the opposite direction. So what do you got, 36, 37? for where the Raiders are going at. But another play, the other side of the field to Bowers. And this was something that I was thinking about with the Raiders, because I was looking at this game on some of the parlay stuff. Ayo, shout out Shocker. They had Trey Tucker 2-1 for anytime touchdown. So I don't know if that's just, Raiders offense in general, but Trey Tucker's been like their leading touchdown threat on, again, Bowers, the name threat of that as well. And, Tucker with the little pass right here as well, too. But here, let's see where he's at for the day. Has he gotten a touchdown? I guess we haven't been logged into our FanDuel, seeing what's going on. Oh, no receiving touchdowns. Oh, wait a second. 2 receiving touchdowns? Who they go to? Oh, both to Ginty? Oh, Chad, how many points does Ginty have right now? Ginty's 20 for 139, 1 touchdown rushing. In receiving, he's got 2 for 17 and 2 touchdowns. Oh, Chad, this is crazy. So this is the fantasy day of the year so far, right? Did somebody else have... Because 3 touchdowns alone, I feel like, would put you way up there. But he also, is pushing 150 yards as well, too. I guess only 2 receptions. So Puka, with the PPR aspect, would also be having a crazy day as well, too. Can we look at like a live NFL fantasy draft? No, Chad. We want fantasy points and see what we get. 2025 live scoring leaders. Let's see. Oh, chat. The Bing is being difficult. Let's see what happens here. Okay, we got Roto Baller, NFL Games Center. Okay, this might be chat. Low-key Roto Baller is gonna get some visits from the REMINGTOM pod here. Let's see what we have. Oh, wait a second. Is this website gonna be too nerdy for us? I don't know how to read these points. Okay, Flacco. Puka, here we go. Puka's got 26. Mahomes has 25. GT has 32. So, yeah, Puka does have more points than GT. The PPR thing is carrying, of course. But the GT's scoring. He is definitely scoring a little bit more. So, shout out Stafford. Gainwell. And we should have mentioned, he got in the end zone a couple times. A few more receptions. So, he does get to 31. Bijan. Hampton did have a big day today as well, too. Metcalf with 23, pretty impressive for sure. So 36 here. Let's see. I guess we haven't looked at fantasy performances for the other weeks here to see what we've gotten so far. Sort it the right way. It always just wants to put Flacco on top, chat. Hey, yo, pause. Oh, Tucker does have that day. Okay, so yeah, the PPR, he had the 3 touchdowns, I guess, last week as well, too. Caleb Williams with 37. Hurts with 35. Taylor with 32. So, yeah, speaking of Trey Tucker, is he the one guy to cross the 40-point threshold? Because there hasn't even been a quarterback as well, too, the last 2 weeks that has done it. Caleb Williams. I guess now in fantasy the last couple of weeks, amongst the more consistent guys. And, Chad, we've lost track of this game already. 43 seconds left. Let's see. Are we on a timeout here? Let's see if we can catch back up to what's happening. Yeah, timeout. Raiders. 3rd and 2? Was that the last play, or is that the play we're on right here? I think last play was the timeout called on a 3rd and 2. So, yeah, we are currently sitting at a 3rd and 2 for the Raiders. Again, we totally just disappeared from that game for a second. So, wait, where are we at? Are we in field goal territory? 36? Oh, we are, chat. They are. Oh, spoiler alert. Hey, yo. Looks like GT, the stats are going backwards. Byard up on the stop again, chat. 4th and 3, they're going to have to take a field goal. Hey, yo, CBS, why aren't they cutting to the Bears game? We can't get final coverage of Bears-Raiders? It's been, that entire 4th quarter, once Cooper Rush and Gardner Minshew were in the game, why can't we cut away? Hey, yo, shout out to the Red Zone for distracting us and not thinking, not making us think about it. I guess maybe, oh, here we go. Finally, chat. Hey, yo, I guess we in real time, we literally waited for, once we realized when it happened, pause about, hey, yo, about a couple of seconds, hey, yo. But in terms of when they should have moved this game over, they should have moved it over a long time ago. So, yeah, there's the stop on GT that we just saw listed here on the ESPN Game Center in the background. The stop behind the line of scrimmage, trying to go a little bit kind of off tackle, tackle guard, and really no space. Doesn't really bounce out, or really even get an opportunity to, as well too, with the way that their defense swarms in. So at least they're still in chance for an opportunity for a long field goal. You only need a field goal to win. You probably are going to give the Bears a couple of seconds and maybe a little nervous. Caleb Williams with just that last second opportunity. But this is still a pretty great, drive, great ending here if they are able to get this one to go. Oh, chat, speaking of ESPN spoilers. Oh, no way. No way, chat. We got to keep our eyes on the TV. The ESPN spoils enough for us. It looks like this play does not go the Raiders' way. 54-yard attempt, 38 seconds left. The clock's not running, so there's no reason to let the play clock run down. But what a block! Oh, chat! No, Mutombo! Get the finger wag on that one, chat. They got up there. The block we saw earlier today, Isaiah Rodgers, was that, again, shout out, he's been awesome, but that was that classic around the edge, guy swoops around the corner and gets a hand on it. Athletic play. It looked like it just elevated, chat. Hey, yo! That might be one of the best just jump up blocks. Can we check that again? Of course we get a replay on that. Was that 99? Oh, that was the guy. That was the guy around the edge. The guy around the edge got it, but 44 was jumping up, and the deflection got it near 44. So it looked like maybe 44 also got a hand on it as well, too. Shout out, that's Sewell's brother. But the Bears, chat, survive. Hey, yo, Caleb Williams. Oh, chat, the sigh of relief from Caleb Williams. He's not even celebrating. He literally just was like, oh, thanks. I can't believe we finally won this one. Hey, yo, the Bears have a winning record. The knee goes, chat. The time will run out. The Bears will move to 2-2. Carlson, in disgust, walks off the field. Crosby was outstanding today. I don't know if we do a stats check on Crosby here real quick, but holy cow, chat, drama to end the Bears Raiders game as well. So yeah, he got the interception in there. I guess we don't really have any fumbles listed for him, but in terms of tackles, 5 tackles, no sacks, 3 tackles for a loss though. 3 tackles for a loss, an interception, couple of passes deflected as well. I feel like if we go to other box scores, they might have that listed here. Let's see if Bleacher Report's got like a passes deflected thing as well too, because he did get a couple of batted ones in the mix there. Defensively, passes defended. Crosby, yeah, he had 3. So the interceptions, 3 defenses, and then the forced fumble as well too. So if he had maybe listed a sack, then he could have. I would like to see. We might have to pay for PFF Plus just to see what his game grade is here, because they don't have like a game score the way they do in the NFL for player performances. But let's check. What did Myles Garrett have against the Bengals? He might have had like 4 sacks in that game alone. Yeah, I think I guess he had 2 sacks in that Cincinnati game, but he was going crazy. 4 tackles for a loss, 3 QB hits. I guess no fumbles, no passes deflected, no interceptions as well. So is Max Crosby 1 pick, 3 tackles for a loss, and 3 passes deflected better than 2 sacks and 4 tackles for a loss for Myles Garrett? But were those 2 sacks like back to back, and then I don't know what they're counting tackles for a loss when like a quarterback steps up to start running versus an actual drop back sack, because I feel like Lamar did get sacked a couple times obviously in that Lions game, but and Lamar specifically as well too, it feels like he actually gets more if he gets tackled. It's actually like a tackle for a loss more than like a sack in some cases. But yeah, again, just being disruptive in the backfield obviously the entire game. Geno Smith, I guess Byard as well too, 2 interceptions in his own right, and like we're saying, that stop getting in the mix there on that 4th down is just as important of a performance as anybody that had defensively today. Caleb Williams, 2 fumbles. I guess that's the sigh of relief there, chat. doing everything he can to give the game away and still coming out victorious. So, yeah, 3 turnovers in general for, I guess 1 turnover, but, 2 more opportunities there for Caleb Williams, getting the recoveries to go with them as well. But, geez, chat, what a day. What a day. The drama, I think, has ceased. I think all the games are final up until this point. So, holy cow, chat. We need to catch a quick breath here before we resume and react to the rest of these games. So let's take a quick break. Sunday night quickly approaches. Cowboys, Packers, the Micah Parsons return. And like I said, we got the double Monday night game as well too tomorrow. So I guess are we live all the way through until the Monday night game? I think we'll probably take a break sometime in between there. But yeah, let's take a quick break, I guess, right now, and then we will be back to recap the rest of the Sunday action, chat. Hey, yo, we got to catch our breath real fast. What a day. Don't go anywhere, though. We'll hang out for a little bit, chat. We'll be right back. Okay, chat, we are back. Let's see about some of these early games that we were watching before we jumped on here. Of course, we mentioned the Dublin game a little bit, and I guess, Houston versus Tennessee as well. I guess Tampa versus Philly was the prime time sort of early slate game. Again, early, this game was definitely very decisive for Philly. So if anything, I guess they had the best half of any team with the way that they performed in the first half. And I don't know, I guess, what is the bigger takeaway? I guess first half Philly versus second half Tampa in a way. But also, it is a version of what we've seen from both those teams where now, Philly is kind of a one-half team. And like we said, of course, week one is weird with that weather delay in there. And I don't know if it's necessarily a half versus that game being sort of split, pause, like, by that metric of the weather delay, but it has felt like there has been either a sort of good or a good first or second half for them this year instead of a sort of clean full game. And again, that is just are they barely doing enough to be able to get some of these wins and that ability to kind of cruise through the regular season and win some of these games. But again, that's kind of what maybe they are for this year. They are a little bit of a one-half team. Like, I don't know if we go through the schedule for them here early on, but I feel like even that Chiefs game, it felt like was a little bit of a one-half game as well, too. And, I mean, the Rams game, especially, was a one-half game where, again, they were awesome in the second half, and it allowed them to win the game, but they allowed the Rams to really get up in the first half and was definitely, again, sort of taking their time to build up in terms of how well they were playing that day. But Tampa themselves, this is again what they are, and I'm not gonna say that we're gonna put them on like fraud alert because they did lose this game. They are 3-1. They maybe are still looking in like a good spot to be the NFC South champion if they continue to play well this year. But the 3 games they had before this, it was cool that Baker was getting the wins. It was cool that they were winning them last second. And I guess, Atlanta and Houston are hopefully competitive opponents. We'll have to see. Those games may take a lot of time to really see how those games play over the course of the year. But both of those teams are, again, maybe trending more toward middle of the pack, if anything. Like, the best versions of those teams are playoff teams, but, probably more average teams. And it took everything they had, last minute to be able to win both those games. And then that Jets game as well. They allowed that game to go down to the final seconds and even had to make game-winning attempts at the end of that one. So the fact that it was them maybe not giving up the game versus Philly, but still, they were the ones this time almost just winning instead of actually winning. Like that, I guess that's the part that's not surprising to me, that Philly is, of course, a little bit of a notch up over these teams, and instead of storming back and actually getting the win, they stormed back and got close. And maybe they are, again, are they also a one-half team like Philly? Sure. But are they you got to cut the head off the giant type of team? You can't let them hang around. You've got to make sure that Tampa is dead because they're going to be fighting back over and over again in this, giant team. You got to be careful what we're talking about at this time. But, they are a team that is going to be competitive for all 4 quarters, like we're saying, and keep these scores close. And they definitely did it against Philly, even though I still feel like walking away first half Philly is a version of the team that I still feel like in a playoff game. And, if this is the habits they develop of having a little bit of inconsistencies throughout the game, then that is something that you don't want to see necessarily. But still, the best versions that they're able to get to in these games is still, up there with the best football that we see teams play in the league. And Hurts was, again, really awesome in the first half of this one, and we've seen them be able to go to multiple different things now. And I still feel like Barkley has had a little bit of a slow start to the season. I guess we haven't seen him necessarily at the top of the fantasy numbers this year, but let's double check in case he had like a touchdown or two. A couple of touchdowns early on, so those are going to help the stats for sure from the fantasy standpoint, and they're obviously important. They're good to have. Shout out. We're not saying that he's not having a good year, but 84 yards from scrimmage total. I guess the last 2 weeks, just receiving in general, he hasn't really had much stats there. But 84 yards week 1, 94 total yards week 2, and then 55 yards week 3. So it's still pretty good. He's still pacing for a 1,000-yard all-purpose season, I think. What's he at? 77 scrimmage yards per game. So I think you need 60-some to get... Is it 69? It might be, Chad. 1,000. We're back to the calculator. Rem learns math tonight. Let's see what we've got. 58 divided by 17. But if we go 16 games, 62. That's what it was. 62. So that's low, Chad. Hey, everybody should get 1,000 yards. But, of course, he still maintains that pace with the total yards per game. And even 1,000, I guess 64 yards per game rushing. He could be a 1,000-yard rusher alone. Again, he's going to be a little more Tony Pollard stat line this year from a rushing standpoint, but still, I guess, what does 77 put him at overall? Like 1,400 yards? Let's go 78 times, and he's played 4 out of 4 games, so let's give him 17 games. He played 16 last year, but did they sit him out the last game? I think that's what it was, right? So this year, they could still definitely control the NFC, but maybe he plays, but he'll probably, I don't know if there's a tweak or a short week. They kind of be extra cautious with something, but we'll just go 16 in general. So 78, 1,200 yards from scrimmage, 1,242. I was going to say, does he have a season that replicates this kind of? Because 2023, his last season with the Giants, he had 962 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns, and 280 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns. So again, 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns, still a great player. And if he has that this year, I don't think we're necessarily like, Saquon Barkley, major red flags for where he's at. Like, has he changed? I think we could maybe look at some Philly stuff to say, is he still in the best running situation in the league as well? But it also is a credit to Derrick Henry as well, too. Just, the fact that he has been as dominant as he has been year after year, kind of. And the Titans have had to go to the offensive line. The Ravens have good run blocking systems for him as well, too. So it's not like, he's been in bad offenses per se. But to be able to consistently, I think, lead the league in rushing yards per game. And I know it's not bolded out here because, I guess these last 3 he would have played enough games to get registered. But 2021 as well, too. Those 3 at the peak of his powers. But, of course, even still, 96, 68, 113 last year in Baltimore, and then 80. So this could be, again, 2023 for Barkley, kind of 2023 for Henry was not so far off. 68 yards rushing. He has 1,100 yards rushing that year, 12 touchdowns. So he doesn't really get the receiving, I guess, sometimes the way that, I guess he kind of does as well, too. But 214 receiving yards and 0 receiving touchdowns that year wouldn't help. But the overall stats would look the same. So I guess, he could be in that range for running backs as well. Henry was right there a couple years ago. So yeah, I guess they're right on the same, chat. Right on the same stuff. I know, maybe Barkley's had a couple more injury seasons throughout Henry's compared. But, you look at Henry early on as well, too, and he's got 490, 744, that 937 in there as well. I guess Emmett did have a couple at the end of his career, but he played so long. I saw a post about Derrick Henry breaking the rushing record, and I was like, I guess, he could play long enough. Like, he's not so far off. Was 18K? Yeah, 12K. Yeah, he is close, Chad. Hey, I guess his higher end seasons were probably a little bit higher end. So yeah, it's a little, that first year, 900, and then 975, 256, 973 at the end of Emmett's career. That last year, 35, 267 carries, 937 yards, 9 touchdowns is still a pretty great season for sure for, a guy at 35 as well. Hey, who was even on the 04 Cardinals with Emmitt Smith, Chad? Hey, they don't have a record here listed for this team. He didn't even make a Pro Bowl. I guess 6-10. Josh McCown was the quarterback former Michigan quarterback as well too, Jean Nevere, if we said his name right. I don't know. But and Sean King is the backup as well. Oh, Emmett and Fitzgerald. And Anquan Bolden, chat. Is this like the best potential wide or skills group of guys of all time, just at the wrong times in their careers? You've got 21-year-old Larry Fitzgerald and 35-year-old Emmitt Smith. Hey, yo. That's kind of crazy, though. That's like some Clippers type stuff right there. That, like, old veteran guy, not quite. I guess the Clippers might not have, like, Fitzgerald. They've never really drafted a Fitzgerald type. I guess shout out to Elton Brand. But outside of that, I can't really. Oh, Blake Griffin, I guess, as well, too. But seems like everybody else would be more veteran guy they end up acquiring. But, yeah, I guess regardless, everybody was saying that this was, the sneaky, is Tampa going to be the sort of, they've had Philly's number and they've been on their level. Is Tampa going to get on Philly's level in the NFC here and prove that they're a top-tier NFC team? And they hung with them as well, too. So you got to know that they do continue to be a feisty team and they're going to stay that way in the playoffs. But I think that Philly is on a slight tier up as well from Tampa. And maybe not a slight tier up, maybe a good half tier up from Tampa. I'm not sure, full tier, whatever. We have to, I guess, rank it out here. But I think there is a little bit of separation for sure between these two teams. And the score got close, but Philly was dominant enough at times, I think, to prove that. So they moved to 4-0. The Patriots versus the Panthers. Actually, I guess the Lions versus the Browns as well, too. We should say this quick because that, like we're saying, that Philly-Tampa game, I think, was the most hyped game for that early slate. But I think this was the game that I was most interested to see what was going to happen. Because, like I said, I was pretty confident that the Eagles were going to win. And I was obviously confident that the Lions were going to win this one as well, too. But just to see their offense against, again, how good this Browns defense has been against some of these teams where even if they lose or, they didn't lose last week against the Packers, but even if they were to lose a game like that in a sort of a low-scoring, ugly game, their defense was great against an offense that has been pretty good to, really, really good to start the season in Green Bay. And with as good of levels as Detroit's offense can get to, this would have been, and like we saw Goff move up in the MVP votes, I think this is a big game if we are looking at that narrative stuff later in the year and how close it could get between, here, let's see, because Goff is going to have to directly compete against a guy in his own division, of course, in Jordan Love, if he's going to win this award, and ultimately he's going to have to compete against, Lamar. I guess Lamar might be out, chat, and he's going to have a chance to really, again, if they reclaim a really great record, and he's going to continue to put up great stats, it's not like we're not going to not consider Lamar a top quarterback in the league. It's just Lamar's still going to be in the same question marks that he has all the time. But he's already been leaped by Herbert. I think that's totally fair. Again, we have to factor in Lamar already has a couple of MVPs, the level he has to play at to win the third one. He's obviously not, the record's obviously not quite there to start the season. It would really have to be that. And I know we said that earlier, but I think they would have to legitimately go, like, I guess it would be 15-1 at this point, 15-2. You play 18 weeks, yes. So you play 17 games. So yeah, they would legitimately have to go 16-1 in the regular season. I guess we have seen some 15-2 teams in there, but 16-1, and he just continues to put up all the crazy stats that he has before. Oh, chat, are they going to announce the Super Bowl right now? The Super Bowl halftime? Hey, yo, announcement of Super Bowl halftime show. Is this it? Well, wait, I'm going to get quiet real second to listen to what they're saying. They just, ran an advertisement for that. But now they're saying, up next, we're breaking everything down. So, I don't know, chat. We got to lock in here. I don't know what's happening. I saw a post that said it's probably going to be Miley Cyrus, and that makes sense as well, too. But I hope it's somebody else. Should we go to the Poly market here real quick, chat? I know we're looking at MVP odds. And what were we saying? Goff, he will have to, I guess, Jordan Love, again, same conference, compete against him. Hurts, when they play later in the season, that'll be a one-off matchup for them to potentially battle it out as well, too. So it is a good thing that I think that we did bet on both of them when we did, because I didn't think about them playing later, and I know that's contradictory. That it contradicts itself. But it's not like we bet on them at plus 750 each. Even still, I think we could bet them twice. We bet both of them at plus 750, but we got them at long shot odds. So to double down on that, and the fact that yes, that game will eliminate potentially one of them, but that game will also elevate one of them. If Goff is awesome against the Eagles, it's like, oh, Goff's gonna be 12-1 after that game, 9-1. If Jalen Hurts is awesome in that game, that's like, oh man, why is this guy not in the MVP in the conversation? 3-1, lock him in. But so that'll be a good game to look back on and be like, yeah, that's a defining game for either of those guys' direction. But then at that point, he's only competing against the AFC guys, and Stafford. I guess we said he's not going to win the MVP, but his odds are starting to put him into the mix. Who knows? Again, they did have that clutch play today. I think that's more on Atwell than it is on Stafford. Was Stafford better than Daniel Jones today? Was he? I guess Daniel Jones was throwing picks. But they would take those plays out. Was Stafford better than Daniel Jones today? I don't know, chap. But I guess, again, he's got a couple of NFC quarterbacks that he has a chance to get the MVP over, compete narratively against in that way. And then two guys. So I guess we start looking at the list. I think Goff's got a path, chat. I think Goff's got a path for MVP, and I think people, I think Hurts. I don't know if people would say that'd be an interesting one over the course of the season. I think narratively to see how that would play out in terms of who's the better quarterback. Just the sort of technical quarterback aspects of it, because we know of course what the talking points are. We know that Hurts is more dynamic as a two-way player, and we know that Goff maybe if he has the time to process, could he make quicker decisions, all that different stuff. But I think that because Goff has been in the league a little bit longer and he was a number one pick as well, I think there's just a little bit more of an earned his stripes. But I guess Hurts has a Super Bowl as well, so not to say that he hasn't earned his stripes, but I think maybe does his regular season have to MVP? Is there an MVP crossover there? I don't know. Again, it's not voter fatigue in the same way. Now, they've already got voter fatigue and they haven't even voted for him. But I'm just saying, I think that, and again, it really will depend on that matchup later in the year against both those teams. And, we also, we know Lions fans as well, too, more so than we know Eagles fans. The Lions, I think, were definitely counted out a little bit more this year than the Eagles. So I like the fact that they could bounce back and prove people wrong in that aspect as well. Prove people wrong, but just, just like reaffirm themselves as a top team as well. But this was again, with the Packers, the Browns definitely played well, and they proved that they were a great defense, and you got to give them credit for that. But on the flip, there's a flip side to that coin. And the flip side of that coin is the Lions offense has now looked really good 3 weeks in a row. Ravens defense, clearly a great matchup, but again, they cooked them. And they were really comfortable against the Browns today. And Goff, the efficiency definitely continues. And did he throw a pick in there? I don't even know if he did. Again, you could have mistakes against this Brown defense. So yeah, he threw a pick. I guess maybe the numbers weren't great for Goff. But the overall offense, performance was great as well, too. And still, I guess the running game gets good numbers. But the performance from Flacco was the first sort of maybe he needs, like, if they did have a first round quarterback, this would have been he's probably in a little bit earlier in this game, but this would have been the week where you're like, okay, Flacco threw a couple of picks, the glass slipper doesn't fit for Joe Flacco anymore, I think, on the team, and maybe, Jackson Dart just got the win, so maybe it's time for us to put in our guy. And you see Dylan Gabriel did have one pass, but I just think that excitement has kind of been zapped out of the Browns QB room. And I think Sanders, unfortunately for Dylan Gabriel, Sanders is the guy that, and, I guess Gabriel, of course, could get the minutes. And if he starts playing well, then, we'll be like, wait a second, what's going on there? Like, do they have a guy? Like, well, it's not like we'll not notice if he's playing well on the field. But if we're just talking about anticipation for who we want to see, like, I do think that at this point, I would just rather see Flacco. And I know he had a bad game, but when he is out there moving the ball, like, this team can have a good offense, and the defense can put this team in fun game scenarios. So, Chad, they just reran the Adonai Mitchell highlight again as well, too. Now that becomes like a game-losing type play because they only lose by a touchdown. That's a bummer. But again, what Flacco's able to make from this offense. But again, their offense has really not been that great the last couple of weeks. It's been more yardage than it has ended in points. So, shout out. I'm not trying to sit here and be like, I'm not Dylan Gabriel, he shouldn't start, like, just because we're more excited for Shedeur. Obviously, that means he wins the job. Like, no, you got to actually earn the job on the field. Like, if Dylan Gabriel's earning the job, then by all means, if it's time to start a young quarterback, then he should be the one to get the start. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, if you're talking about my own personal excitement, I just, this would have been the perfect game for, Shedeur or whoever the guy is to get in there. Pause, is the guy. But just at this point, I'd be like, let me just see Flacco for this team for the next couple of weeks. They get a lot of first downs. He makes some crazy plays, and they still might get a good quarterback in the draft, regardless of, what we think of the class this year. I don't know. Sellers in Cleveland's definitely a little scary, but regardless, it's like, okay, that's still maybe fun if they want to go that direction. And the Browns taking a quarterback in the first round again, them it's the number one pick. We get to talk about how that hasn't happened since Baker, and look what happened to Baker. Like, his Sellers, I guess Baker 2.0 is a little crazy, but I don't know what the is he gonna be the next guy? Maybe we start doing maybe Sellers, if he doesn't work out on the Browns, a second franchise takes at the draft would be crazy. But regardless, at least welcome back to Cleveland at the top of the draft. But I just would rather have that, unfortunately. And this is bulletin board material for Dylan Gabriel's career. I'm just telling you where I'm at mentally as a fan right now. And again, I'm just telling you that I can be won over. Like, I'm not sitting here saying that I don't want to see him play. I guess I literally just said that. But I'm just saying that if you asked what I would be the most excited about for that franchise, it would be Flacco or Shedeur at quarterback, or a guy in 2026. I don't know. It's not an I guess it would just be the risk of the offense being really, really bad and unwatchable. But I guess why take we're a gambling man, Chad. So we could gamble it being also great for that as well, too, because the wins and losses are going to be the same at the end of the day, right? So screw it, Chat. Play Gabriel. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Play either guy. I'm all in either way, Chat. It is what it is, Chat. I feel bad for saying we don't want to see Gabriel, but I guess regardless, they're scoring 10 points a game, so it's not like their offense is good. So what are we talking about? But they're just a chaotic element that they get yards, but then Flacco will have a turnover, and it all works, Chat. I don't know. It's like a bad TV show. It's just like a Tubi movie, the Cleveland Browns. But the Rotten Tomato scores are great, but or not great, but we still love it. But yeah, shout out. Rotten Tomato scores are definitely getting good on the Lions' performance this year for sure. And this Washington-Atlanta game, I had a feeling was going to be fun as well too, because Chat, we'll sit here and talk about how we thought about all this stuff was going to be correctly for sure. But the Falcons were that weak performance last week, so returning home, the chance for them to have a bounce back performance is definitely a real possibility. And the Commanders, they looked good last week with Mariota. Again, the Raiders, football math, I don't know if they're going to turn out to be a great team this year, but with your backup quarterback to put up 41 against anybody is still pretty impressive. And again, backup quarterback today, they go in and put up 27. Atlanta was cooking with Bijan and stuff. They managed to get to 30 plus and bounce back offensively in a big way from where they were at last week. But again, I think Washington is a feisty team, and Mariota's definitely played. He's had a lot of really good moments in these last couple of weeks, and he did have an interception today. Again, we're not saying that Mariota's going to win the starting job versus Jaden Daniels. I don't know if we have to talk about Mariota outside of Kingsbury as well too, because I think it could be a credit to, like, hey, Kingsbury is actually a good quarterback play caller, and that can't be forgotten. And he was really young when he was given that job as the Cardinals coach, so he obviously could definitely be in line for more opportunities down the road. But regardless, again, with Mariota, they're still able to be a competitive team, but they are, I think, going to be a really feisty team with Daniels, and that's, of course, in a division with the Eagles, a tough spot just in terms of your regular season notoriety, and with having Daniels out as well too, and maybe dropping a game or two, that's not going to help as well. But with his level of quarterback play, and just with the way the team is coached, and Samuel's playing well. He had a good touchdown today over the shoulder throw from Mariota. That was really nice. But yeah, it's still a good performance. And I guess a lot of that, some good fourth quarter push there as well too, to make this game a little bit interesting at one point. Then Atlanta, some field goals. They were able to push the lead to 7 at the end. But Penix, 26 for 313, 2 touchdowns. He was back cooking today. And then, of course, heavy run game with Bijan 17 for 75, Algier 16 for 51. No touchdowns. London, chat. Hey, yo, London on the track. London on the catch. Hey, yo, chat, we got London on the catch. They need to get that as a drop in the Falcon Stadium. Somebody record that. Some Atlanta celebrity needs to record that. We got London on the catch. And then every time he gets a first down, they can drop that in. That'd be pretty sick, chat. There's an idea for you. In-stadium drop right there. But 8 for 110 and a touchdown today. And then Bijan, like we were saying, just all over the place. 4 for 106 on the reception as well. Pitts, 5 for 70 and a touchdown. I guess Warren was awesome today as well, too. But is Pitts the leading tight end guy, chat? How many weeks has Kyle Pitts led the tight ends in scoring? Hey, yo. And apparently we can't go forward in time on this list. We can only go backwards. I don't know what's up with this website time machine here. Let's see if we can find current live week 4 with the points. Puka, of course, 36 final. GT goes final with the 32. But Goddard with 19, Warren with 18, and then Pitts with 18.3. So Warren 6 for 70, no touchdowns, and then he had the rush in there, 2 for 3 in the rush touchdown. But Pitts, I guess, 5 for 70 and 1 touchdown as well. So Trimble for Carolina, who's looked pretty good the last couple of weeks, as he's had some good moments, 15 points in there. And then Tongs got that screen from Purdy as well, but I guess he got 3 receptions for 58 yards and then that touchdown. So shout out Pitts, Goddard, and Warren. Is Pitts turning into one of the top fantasy guys, chat? Wait a second, was that his that's half PPR points? I was like, was that like a season average thing there going on for Pitts? What do we got? Weekly rank 98. Should I start Kyle Pitts in week 5? What is this, chat? They're giving us bad advice. So tight end ranks. Oh, he's not in the top 10. Okay, so he does need a couple of good weeks to get back in the mix. McBride is leading right now. McBride, Bowers, Kraft, Ferguson, Tyler Warren at 5, Laporta at 6, Dalton Kincaid at 7, Kelsey at 8, Henry at 9, Mark Andrews at 10 for the tight end spot. So we'll see. Can Pitts get to the top 10 tight ends by the end of the year? I say yes, chat. I think he can definitely do it. So big plays today. Penix looking good at home. And the Falcons are definitely a home team to watch as well, too. If they're at home, maybe we get a little bit more comfortable betting on them going forward. But Carolina versus the Patriots, chat. And, the Patriots, once again, if you're matched up against this team, shout out to the Panthers. Like, it's unfortunate that Bryce Young had the best day of his career last week, and everybody's like, wait a second, that's not right. Like, the Panthers can't play that well, and unfortunately, they just go right back at 13 points, 42, giving up the other end. Drake May, 14 for 17, 203, and 2 touchdowns. Really didn't have rushing, chat. Hey, yo, really balanced all the way across. Again, you see they're able to generate a lot of points on not a lot of plays. I think some turnovers as well, too, for Carolina. I guess they only had the 1 fumble in there. So really just, probably field position. This game was not in the red zone a lot. Make no mistake. So this one was kind of off the TVs. We'll probably have to go back and re-watch this one. But I'm interested to definitely go, kind of maybe skim through the Drake May tape in a real way through the first couple of games, because he is really looking scary with how he's turning out. And again, you get a favorable matchup against the Panthers, and maybe they're not able to generate turnovers in the same way, so his sort of chaotic plays that he has had are not able to show up in the same way. But with the good plays that he is having in between the bad plays, he is really starting to develop into a scary prospect. And it's like, okay, you start eliminating some of those plays, even just on a week by. It's like, okay, if he gets some of those plays like every couple of weeks, they would just be a better regular season team immediately, and then it would just be at that point his consistency in the playoffs. But they are a good roster, I think. I don't know if the defense, if they don't have, a fully healthy secondary, it really does become, I think, a easier spot to attack on the. I mean, obviously, but I think it does. It really depletes fast for them in the secondary. But Drake May's, I think, elevation of this team. I don't know if there is a stat that would quantify that. Outside of just, I guess, wins. Expected wins. I don't know if there's an EPA. There's EPA per play and stuff, and I guess we could look up some of that stuff potentially. Try to get behind some paywalls and see if we can find some Drake May EPA type stuff. But I would just like to see what player provided value is, and for the quarterbacks and for offensive stuff. And again, he's had some fumbles and some plays that would actually, and rightfully so, take those numbers down a little bit. But still, I think his good plays would outweigh that enough. And there, I guess, we could just go to the basic quarterback stats going into the week, because again, this would be not updated yet on Pro Football Reference for the games taking place today. But quarterback rating, he's 9th in quarterback rating. So you have Sam Darnold in there, Daniel Jones in there. I don't know if it gets filtered out a tad this week. Maybe just reshuffled a little bit. But he was, Drake May, 9th in quarterback rating. I think first downs, let's check. Top 10 in first downs. 5 touchdowns. He's 10th in first downs as well, too. Completion percentage, he was 2nd in the league in completion percentage. And I think he's he's not as aggressive as some of these guys. Let's see here. Adjusted yards per attempt. So he's still top 10, I guess, though, in adjusted. Caleb Williams, number 6, chat. Hey, his quarterback rating, not looking too bad as well, too. And I guess that was even before today's game. Maybe we need to take today's game out, honestly. But, yeah, Drake May has been, outside of, again, like I'm saying, a couple of plays, really efficient to start the year. And that Steelers loss was just unfortunate, and they definitely should have won that one. That's, hopefully you look back and go, sort of a young player, just, some unfortunate stuff happens, and a game that in a year or two from now, he'll definitely just be able to go out and win that game, no problem. But this is a game that you should win no problem against the Panthers if you're a good team who will provide all the different stuff, and they definitely take care of business, and he was just in a very comfortable rhythm today, and is able to have those type of bounce back things as well, too. So I know that because the Patriots are sitting around 500 and it's still week to week a little bit, I don't know what this team is yet. We don't know really how to talk about Drake May as a quarterback prospect, and I don't know if, we want to, I guess maybe we do. I don't know. There just has been a sort of passive conversation about some of the guys, and Jay Daniels as well, too, has emerged. And maybe we're kind of holding the Jay Daniels spot, and I definitely am as well, too, till he gets back. I definitely would, well, I'm not going to say I would definitely rather have Jay Daniels than Drake May. I mean, we definitely would have, checked the tapes up until now, I guess. But it honestly is getting to that point where I'm like, okay, obviously if I had to pick right now, I guess maybe not obviously, but if I had to pick right now, I would take Daniels, and I guess we're talking that draft class, which would be specific to why we're bringing up these names. But I would take Daniels because he has proven the success and been good in the playoffs and helped his team get to the conference championship game. But I would, if I had a third option, which is wait and ask me after the end of this playoffs, to see if Drake May does it, or give me 6 more weeks or something. I don't know. I would just want to see more time with Drake May, obviously, because I could definitely, I guess the point being, I could see myself getting to a spot where, or I guess see myself, hey, throw it back to me. I could see Drake May playing well enough to get to where he is matching what Jaden Daniels can bring in terms of level of production. And the playoff thing, of course, Daniels was able to get that success early, so he's going to be able to, even if they aren't quite as feisty of a team as I'm thinking, he's going to be able to lead on that playoff success for a season or two. That's for sure, and rightfully so. It was very impressive. But at least regular season-wise, I think very quickly he's going to be in conversation. Not just who do you want to have going forward, but I think right now, like, Drake May's pretty good. Like, if I had to have Drake May a playoff game, I would not feel bad. That's all I'll say. But, yeah, they crushed Panthers today. So, obviously, that's going to, this is a good week to say it. They just put up 42 points. But otherwise, major early window stuff to mention. I guess we got to mention maybe Jackson Dart as well, too. I know we mentioned the Chargers a little bit earlier. I guess more so that it was good that this felt like an old school Chargers game. It's fun that the Chargers are good this year. It's fun that Herbert is finally in the MVP conversation. I think just, like in a real way and might actually win it. And if the Chargers, have a good regular season, he would be, a clear favorite for sure. And, if they're good regular seasons, obviously based on his stats. But with his timeline of narratives in his NFL career, I'd feel good for him to be at least able to have a sigh of relief of like, okay, he's made it to a certain level with all the expectations that have been applied to him at this point in his career. But regardless, the Chargers just having these weird performances, and it's like there's just a random interception throw. It's like Herbert's had, no incompletions in this whole game. It's like, oh, there's a pick. And now all of a sudden the Giants are in scoring territory and they don't even really have to do much. And oh, there's a fumble by the Chargers. There's just like a random thing that happens. How do the Chargers only have like 10 points at certain points in this game? They only get to 18 today. And again, the Giants defense is good as well too. So we have to give them credit. But that, and Harbaugh has definitely instilled confidence in Herbert for the most part to allow him to play good games. And Hampton would be the big takeaway as well too. Hampton was awesome today. 12 for 128, 1 touchdown. We were just looking at him in there on the fantasy points as well too. Scattaboo, 25 for 79. Oh, chat, look out, Cam Scattaboo. And the fact they invested so highly in Hampton as well too in the first round, just the extra over-the-top performance is even better than just, hey, look at this, we have a productive running back. Like, no, this guy's awesome. He puts up awesome stats. He has big plays. Obviously, maybe a little bit more to win. But a couple of Herbert picks is still, maybe one or two of those a year. But he did have a pretty clean year last year. So for him to just, and maybe that's as well too, clean year. I guess the playoff game kind of, does that reset everything? I'm not sure. But in terms of regular season games, that's a lot of regular season games in a row with really little turnovers and still, again, against this pass rush, it is not surprising that they would have a struggling day, and their offensive line is really banged up right now as well too. I don't even know if we can track all their injuries at this point because I think Alt even went down, and they've had to move him around already because of injuries. So, just having him out there at one spot is obviously beneficial, but seems like he's had to play all three or four, had to play multiple 3 or 4 spots at this point. So that injury is impactful, maybe even while he's not as good as like Slater. It's like, okay, well now you even lose versatility as well as just straight up talent. So again, point being, they're extra depleted. But Dart and Wilson go checking back at 1 for 1 for 8 yards. I didn't even see the Russell Wilson play that they ran. And he took a sack. So they ran a couple of Russell Wilson plays. I don't know, Dart get hurt at some point. They didn't cut away to that at the red zone. But he didn't do that much today, like respectfully, in a good way. Dayball, I guess in a good way. I don't know if it's a good way. But, they were definitely very passive with him. And it was very, I don't want to say untrustworthy, but it was not like okay, Jackson Dart, we've been waiting, like, let's unleash him. Like, this was like, we want to get away from Russ type of a situation. And I get Russ did play bad in those games, and that Cowboys game is probably a fraud game more than it was anything, so we can't necessarily look at that. And I want to see Jackson Dart as well, too. So I don't want to sit here and, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, oh, we'd rather see Russell Wilson. I guess it would be more if a team needed an emergency option and needed a trade for somebody, would we think that Russell Wilson would be a good bet for that? And I actually kind of do. Like, I don't know if I would, I guess playoff team. I don't, like if I guess Herbert goes down, do the Chargers call the Giants for Russell Wilson and think that they're gonna go to the AFC Championship game? I guess maybe we just talked ourselves out of it. But regardless, Jackson Dart playing smart, easy football, and barely able to get the win is still good for your first win in the NFL. And no turnovers. Those are all, I think, fine things. And he did make a couple of good third down throws as well too at the end of the game. Picked up a couple of third downs with on the ground rushing. So just being able to process and take the plays that are in front of him and keep the chains moving, those were good signs of, you could see maybe in a couple of weeks as the comfortability really continues to impress, that he does have maybe a smart decision making strain there. Like, he wasn't immediately, out there again making bad plays and doing dumb stuff. And I know that was he being extra careful because the team was maybe a little bit moving away from the chaos of Russ as well too. But the speed maybe at times at which it's like, okay, if they're gonna run a real short play, like, I don't know if that's awesome, but you could see if the offense speeds up and Dart has that same sort of just overall efficiency, then they could be in a decent spot. But losing Neighbors is really tough, and him and Wandale, of course, were a really great duo this year so far. Arguably, just playing the best receiver duo in the league, playing like the best receiver duo in the league. So unfortunately, that season is cut short, and hopefully he's able to get back on the field really healthy, really quickly. Torn knee. I don't know if there's like a Tatum level surgery he can get to help him get back in the rumors at least as quickly as Tatum has gotten back in the timeline. I know Achilles for Tatum, ACL for Neighbors, but you hate to see, of course, the young stars going and getting injured like that. So shout out again to Dart for the big win to start his career. That was fun stuff. Rattler keeping it feisty with the Bills. The Bills just sleepwalk into 30. Just easily not easily, kind of a bit of a tough game, but still at least able to cross the threshold. But Rattler again was keeping it at least feisty for 2.5, 3 quarters maybe. Buffalo with 10 in the fourth quarter, 7 in the third. I think they started to pile on a little bit later. I guess 10 points with 10 to 21. So what, 10 to 14, then 10 to 21, then 16 to 21, then 19 to 21, then 19 to 20. So yeah, it was just that last 10 points that they put up that helped them pull away. So 3.5 quarters, Rattler was really competing. And we kind of, I think, take this off the table sometimes with these young guys who, Rattler is a guy that, again, here's a guy that people used to believe in him, Mike, but they just gave up hope for some reason. Man calls you a couple names in practice doesn't mean he's not a good quarterback. But again, people were not talking about him as the belief is definitely not there. Of course, the production was not there in the same way as well too, and the draft stock. But I guess he's still like a rookie. He's still like a second-year guy. Like, point being, he can still get better as a player. And sometimes these low draft pick type guys, we just don't necessarily factor in the get better aspect the same way as we do with the first and second round guys. And there is also at times too, sometimes do more older players go at the end of the draft because they're a little bit more farther along for that reason. That's part of it as well too. But I guess point being, like, Rattler could get better over the course of this season, and I don't know if the Saints are going to walk away, going, hey, we found our guy. Chat, in the NBC Sunday Night Football, they've got to run the Micah Parsons piece. He was drafted. Here's the timeline. Jerry Jones, what went wrong? Here's the revenge. We got to set up the drama for tonight's game. Is Jerry Jones starring in this? I mean, chat, what are we doing here? I mean, obviously he knows how to, I don't know if he knows how, but he'll at least put himself in a place to market and be seen. And I guess if anything, he'll be seen. I guess whether or not he's good at being seen, it's, obviously the saying of any marketing or any publicity. But this is crazy. NBC's in his office being like, can you film a piece about how you traded Micah Parsons and about he's going to just rip up your team tonight? And he's like, yeah, sure. It's Sunday Night Football. How many people are going to watch? I guess I'll do it. Hey, did they just do an interview, chat? Oh, no, this is them just filming Micah Parsons, I guess, doing some kind of setup thing. Are they going to bring in Jerry Jones and be like, oh, you guys haven't spoken since then. Can you guys make up right now? I don't know if week 4 Sunday Night Football is the place. Yeah, Chad, you got to save that for the playoffs. The surprise reunion, the candid camera, prank Micah Parsons with Jerry Jones would be a crazy setup. But shout out, Chad. Did we miss anything for week 1? We got Sunday Night Football about to start up here. So, we're hungry. We've been here through the late games. We got to go eat. Chat, hey, yo, it is what it is. We got to go watch the game. So we got to take off. But I think we mentioned everything important. If not, we'll be back Tuesday, hanging out, reacting to the, of course, Sunday night game here. I guess Tuesday, hey, yo. But the Monday night game. But regardless, don't be back Tuesday for the football reactions. That'll be a minor part of it. We'll be moved on to the next thing. We'll have other stuff cooked up and be hanging out, having a good time, for that night, chat. So you'll want to be back then here on the YouTube live. You can find us, and you can also find us on the podcast feeds as well too, across all platforms at REMINGTOM Pod. If you want to message us on Instagram, the DMs are open over there as well too, chat. And if you want to, slide us any parlays that you're cooking up that you think might win, we would appreciate it, because we're trying to make a buck as well too, chat. So damn us your parlays. I don't know, whatever, chat. We need the advice. We need to win some of these bets. But I guess we'll be back Tuesday, chat. We'll do a live parlay reveal. We'll see which one's the best one. But be back. We'll be hanging out. It'll be fun, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you guys. So enjoy the Sunday night game and the Monday night games as well too. I guess we had a couple of games to react to. Ayo, chat. I guess Tuesday, it's going to be more exciting than I thought. That's right, 2 Monday night games. Another reason to be back. So, Brandon Aubrey, about to fire up the kickoff. We will log off, chat. Enjoy the Sunday night game, and we'll see y'all Tuesday. Peace.